2 claps a charm. But hey, let's go, man. Happy, what is this, 23, episode 23. Woo! And it's good morning on a Saturday with the boys. Coffee with the boys. Cheers to that, actually.
All right, hold up. Let me get
We got some Joe. Oh, yeah. Bam, bam. Jameson, young Jamie Doo behind the camera as usual. And before we kick this off really quick, too, guys, I just want to say thank you to everybody who's been really so supportive, reaching out. Shout out to Ryan Doherty. Shout out to Brian Denon. Shout out to Brad Lord. Really appreciate you guys reaching out and everybody who's just been really supportive and just saying, hey, this is cool. I'm having fun with it, and I'm trying to have fun with it. And hey, today we got good friend Ian Simpson. What's up, Ian?
Not much, man. How are you doing?
We're rolling in. The audience that's not there. We'll add a laugh track one of these days.
No, don't do that. Don't do it.
Get one of those soundboards
like
with
terrible
all the different
90s.
buttons.
Yeah.
You should get like Dr.
Dude, I
Phil
want a
voiceovers.
soundboard. I really do want a soundboard. We're like, ooh, or one of those. Yeah.
That'd be
With
nice.
all the little sounds on them.
Oh yeah.
Have you ever guys watched? I saw on Facebook, like somebody shared Friends episode with no sound,
It's
no
weird.
laugh track. It's super weird and not funny at all.
No, it's not.
Because half those jokes kind of suck.
They're terrible.
Like,
Any of those
oh,
laugh
it's
tracks.
you, and then there's like this really there's like an unnatural pause. Oh, it's you. No laughter, and then they go.
Bro, I bet you Fresh Prince of Bel-Air would be just like that too.
Probably.
Well, any of those, because they really rely on the laugh track, because I think it's all filmed in front of a live studio audience, right?
Yeah. Did you see one of the videos? They have Ross, it's just Ross, and they make him seem like a serial killer because there's no laugh track, and he's always depressed and whatnot, and he seems like
Who's
really
Ross?
awkward. He's I don't fucking
If
know.
is he in Friends?
Tall black haired dude. I don't know
What show is he in?
It's Friends.
Oh, it's Friends. Okay, yeah.
He's this tall white
disclaimer:
dude,
I've
black
never
hair.
watched Friends, so I don't know the characters at all. And like, I get that all the time. You've never seen Friends? I've never could. The only show I could really get used to watching with the laugh track was that '70s show. I did like that show.
That was a good show.
Yeah,
Dude, that show's a classic.
it is really funny. I thought that was the only one with a laugh track where I could actually laugh at it. But yeah, man, I don't know. How's the band going and everything? I know you've been.
It's going good. Like I was
For those of you who
saying.
don't know, Ian's extremely talented from a musical standpoint,
I'm
and
alright.
man of many hats.
Very humble as well.
Very humble as well. But if he brought his guitar today,
I forgot it.
forgot your guitar, dude.
I brought coffee, but you didn't have a coffee roaster.
I know. Brought coffee. I don't have a coffee maker. I'm already getting
Yeah.
roasted for that.
Yeah. See, the thing is,
Un-American.
it was like back in the 1700s. We had this thing called the Boston Tea Party,
No.
where we were taking a stand against all the high-minded tea drinkers.
Yeah,
and
we were
Mike over here,
I was.
His descendants came from
Mike.
England.
Mike's got to be a communist or something because he doesn't have a coffee maker.
Listen, man. In a European
America
household.
runs on Dunkin'.
Actually, everybody has an espresso maker. Yeah, so to speak, I think the people who started Dunkin' started the revolution, man.
They
Yeah,
did.
they're like,
That's what it is.
"Screw
We
your
hate
tea.
co- we hate
want
tea."
coffee.
Coffee, and they're way more jazzed up. Because if you think about it, when you drink a coffee, it's like crack compared to tea.
Mhm.
And that's what happened. They had the extra boost.
Yeah, man.
We
I just
figured it
don't
out,
know.
man.
Yeah,
I'm gonna write a book.
there you go.
I'm gonna write a book about this.
Write a book about your decision not to have a coffee maker.
Listen, I don't. Okay, so
Clearly
I don't
communist.
I don't want to drink coffee that much. That's the thing. That's why I don't have a coffee maker. I already have a problem with coffee because I love it a lot. But it's at a point where I need to be able to control when I have it or not, because I notice it really fucks with my sleep. And I don't think it's really societal, like people accept it from a societal standpoint enough to understand how frequently they should use coffee from like a drug standpoint,
Oh,
because
it's definitely addictive.
caffeine really messes you up. Like if you're not careful with it. We were just talking about that. Like,
Yeah.
isn't that the most not addictive, but
Most
more
accepted
people.
drug.
Yeah.
In the United States besides beer.
Well, I
and
think
alcohol.
most people, like it's the why can't I word this? It's like the most people are addicted to coffee.
Yeah,
Caffeine
everyone
than
wakes
anything
up,
else.
they get their coffee in.
Yeah. It's like first thing. Jameson's one of those people.
I'm one of those
Before
people.
breakfast. You do coffee before
I do
breakfast?
it with breakfast.
You do it with breakfast?
Yeah,
See,
with
I could
breakfast.
not even imagine. I get drink a bunch of water, then I have breakfast.
Generally speaking, I'll eat my breakfast first, and maybe I'll take a couple sips of coffee, but then the coffee's after breakfast.
Yeah.
And
I don't know.
the breakfast makes the caffeine enter your system at a slower rate, so it doesn't jack you up.
I tell you what. For those of you who are wondering why you might be tired all the time or anxious or overly stressed, I can promise you, if you're somebody who drinks coffee every day, it's going to be partially attributed to that. I read this really interesting article by Michael Pollan. I think I've talked about it a couple times prior, but it was
smart.
like, he's super smart. He's a great author, and he talks about all kinds of different drugs, and caffeine being one of them. He conducted an experiment on himself where he just stopped drinking coffee for like 2 or 3 months. And he said after the first couple of weeks, like after the first few days, you definitely get like you're really tired.
Yeah.
Because when you're drinking caffeine has the same like molecular structure as adenosine, replaces that in your brain. The receptors replace it with caffeine, so now you have to start to over time make more adenosine to make you tired, because that's what adenosine building up throughout the day is what makes you tired at the end of the day. And that can throw off that whole balance. So as soon as you stop drinking it, you're going to be really tired for a long time till your body metabolizes and then stops producing as much adenosine, because you don't metabolize the adenosine until you sleep.
Right.
And it's like a double-edged sword, because if caffeine affects you poorly, like it does me, you're like not sleeping at 100% a night. You're not getting in like good REM cycle. Like a lot of things mess with your REM cycle. Matthew Walker's another great person to reference on like sleep stuff. He was on Joe Rogan podcast.
Yeah, his podcast on Joe Rogan was amazing.
So good.
Yeah, so good. He
So
talks
good.
about how like heat dumping before bed, like taking a cold shower,
Yeah.
like can really help your sleep. And caffeine, he mentioned caffeine and all sorts of other great things that I forget.
I've definitely done the cold shower thing, and it works for sure. You're way warmer when you go to bed.
Also, to attribute to that is people are always on their phones. And that takes away from the ability to like sleep properly.
Yeah.
If you leave your phone next to you, like say you have a nightstand right next to your bed and you leave your phone on, like that affects your sleep.
Right. The blue light.
Yeah. It tricks your brain into thinking that, oh, it's still daylight.
Yeah.
You're not tired. You don't
I talk to people about this all the time. There's nothing better to help you fall into a good sleep cycle than watching the sun set. Exposing yourself to that type of gradient of light dissipating and going away slowly helps your body ease into, okay, it's time to sleep. But what ends up happening to a lot of people is they'll stay in a room with the same amount of light throughout that entire process of the sun setting. Yeah. Which again, you have to think, well, how biologically, how biologically conditioned are we to sleeping with the sun setting and rising? Because obviously we don't sleep during the day.
Yeah, I mean, we got all these lights that emulate the sun.
Yeah.
Which makes us
blue light.
Yeah.
Specifically.
I mean, even like the lights we got in here, the lights that we got in the kitchen, the bedroom, you have those on when it's dark, so you don't get tired as quick. That's why like most people are up to like 2 a.m. and they wake up at like almost half the day through.
Dude, maybe I'm crazy, but I think one of the worst parts about work for me is being under. I'm suspicious that it's being under the lights all day. Because like say you're in an area with controlled lighting and it's the same. I feel like I get a little psychosis from it.
Yeah.
In like a very mild but. Maybe not so aggressive.
What kind of lighting do you have in your gym?
Well, it's LED. The lights are really nice. It's better than like fluorescent. They were replaced just shortly before we started work, or just shortly after I started working there.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't think the lights are bad per se. I just think it's bad to be underneath lighting that doesn't change. Because think about it. Like think about how unnatural it is to be somewhere with the same lighting
for I'll tell
hours.
You what, so Ian can attest to this. Working at a box store like Lowe's or something, the lighting in there, there's just something about it. It's so
it's eerie,
unnaturally bright and eerie. Yeah, and it just messes with you. I think.
Yeah.
Like that. I feel like that's what you're talking about, but like
it is, man.
Oh man.
What
And-
happens is I'll go to lunch and I don't turn the light on in the break room. People come in, you like eating in the dark? It's like, well, there's a huge window. I can see just
Damn
fine.
right I do.
You know what I mean? I'm like, yes. Are you sure you don't want me to turn the light on? I'm like, yes. Please, no light. Do
Yeah.
not turn that light on.
At Lowe's, when I would take a break, like the lights would automatically turn off after a certain amount of time. I'm like, oh, this is great. And then someone walking, like, no.
Dude, especially when you're trying to take a nap in the break room
Yeah.
and the lights finally turn off.
Yeah, because someone
Right, and then
didn't show up
somebody
for their
walks
shift.
in.
And you gotta
Oh,
like double.
is it on one of those
It's a
sensors?
motion sensor, yeah.
Oh no.
Uh-huh. And the motion sensors, like, so if you move, like,
I can feel that pain.
at about, like, hip level or, like, table level, like, it won't turn on.
Yeah.
But if you raise your hand, like, that's
Oh.
where the motion sensor is. So
Yeah.
anybody who's walking around will turn it on,
Oh.
Mhm.
you know?
That's like when you don't want to get up and your parents back when you were a kid would turn the lights on in your room when you were sleeping.
Yeah.
Yo,
Oh,
honestly,
like,
that didn't happen to me.
That's
Really?
because you're a good
Yeah.
boy.
Well, dude, my mom, she, honestly, best way to wake up ever. Your mom just comes in the room. She pokes her head in the door. She's like, "Hey, it's time to wake up." Closes the door, nice and quietly,
Yeah.
right? And then you just like stretch out. It's like, cool, man. Time to get on with the day. You know, like no lights on or nothing like.
See, my mom would do
Annoying.
that,
Nothing like
and then
somebody
I'd fall back asleep.
busting the door open
Yeah.
so fast that the door slams the wall. No, I honestly, I don't know if my mom's ever woken me up, but I've definitely like been to sleepovers and done stuff where like the mom that was there would turn the lights on. Like I remember, I guess I'm referencing it based off of when we would do the sunrise hikes, like in the very beginning when we first were doing Mount Peaked.
Yeah.
Shout out to the Waits. That's about out in Palmer, because we would do it all with them, and they would, or rather, Anya would like wake everybody up. I like that. I miss that. I like still doing it, but man, sometimes waking up is just way too hard.
Yeah. It's kind of
Yeah.
the same situation with the gym. Like once I get to the gym,
Mm-hmm.
it's so easy to just go out and work out. But like getting there, it's like, oh, do I have to go?
Yeah.
Do I really have to go?
Mm.
How's things with the band going though?
It's going good.
I know you guys just started practicing not too long ago, but
I think it's been about 2 or 3 months now.
what's the process kind of like in your own words? Like,
The beginning of the process is just everyone kind of getting a feel for like,
Mhm.
hey, what's your style? Like, we just literally just jam. Like, we'll play some really crappy things
Yeah.
until we get like something that meshes,
mm-hmm.
and like kind of get a feel like this person plays more bluesy or this plays more like metal,
Okay.
and more like punk or like indie or whatever. And we kind of just figure what's the middle ground,
Mm-hmm.
and that's kind of where we're at. We're kind of like figuring out what the middle ground
A lot
is.
of jamming.
Yeah.
Jam sessions.
But there's been moments where we've done like one riff and like trying to like figure out where to go from it like
Uh-huh.
for like 20 minutes straight. And,
Oh,
and
wow.
it gets like intoxicating because sometimes like the riff is just really that good,
Mm-hmm.
but you just don't know how to get out of it.
Yeah.
You don't have an escape to get to the next part.
Yeah, you're kind of just stuck on the one.
Yeah,
riff.
I'm sure transitioning can be difficult.
It definitely is because even if like you find like, okay, this riff's really good, this riff's really good. How do we get that to there?
Yeah.
Mm.
Like blend them two in the same song.
Yeah.
Do you guys record any of it?
Yeah, we record every session.
Okay.
Yeah, we got kind of a similar setup to like this.
Mm-hmm.
Different microphones because some are better for
Yeah. For
different
instruments.
frequencies and
yeah.
whatnot. But yeah, it's pretty cool. He's got like this right here.
Yeah, you got a
Exact
foresight.
same one, yeah.
The big one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I had to upgrade. I wanted to. Oh, we got Bob Ross here. Let's see what Bob Ross has to say.
Let's wash the old brush. That's the fun part of this whole technique.
Hell yeah.
Take off the excess and just beat the devil out of it.
If you ever really want a good laugh, definitely watch Bob Ross for like forever. Actually,
Dude, Bob Ross is
I
shit.
could not get tired of watching him at all. He's so unpredictable with the shit he says.
Mm.
He's just like the sweetest human being.
He really is. Do you know
Like
he was
ever.
like a high-ranking officer in the Air Force and shit?
Yeah, I
really?
heard about that.
I didn't know any of
And
that.
he's missing a finger, like
Damn.
from this knuckle. I think it's his index finger or something.
Mm.
Fun facts.
Fun facts.
Fun facts about Bob Ross.
On the local
Yo,
podcast.
so Ian, how old were you when you started playing guitar?
Yeah, dude, I can't believe you didn't bring your guitar.
Yeah, sorry guys.
It's all right.
I
Send me a
think
clip
yeah, I'll
Of-
definitely
or like
send you a clip.
a piece of
Yeah.
sound, and I'll close the podcast out with it.
All right. Yeah.
There you go. We look forward to that, folks.
And so I think I was either 13 or 12.
12 or
Somewhere around there.
13?
Yeah.
And were you self-taught?
Yeah. Well, I mean, as self-taught as you can get. I went on websites to look up tabs,
Yeah.
which is pretty. Just like it shows you where to put your fingers, and that's how I learned.
Mhm.
YouTube wasn't that great of a source at the time. It was like basically in its infancy.
Yeah, I know. Back when YouTube was like competing with World Star.
Yeah.
When
What's
they were like,
World Star?
Exactly.
you don't know what
No,
World
I have no
what?
idea what World Star is.
I don't-
Whoa!
I
You know
don't-
what World Star is? You never heard of the World Star when shit would break out and people were fighting?
Nah.
Well, dude, no,
You never heard
I've
that?
never heard of it either.
I heard
Really?
that expression,
Yeah.
but I never knew what it was. For me, it was always just like some expression like that had no rooting in reality.
I think
Yeah.
World
know?
Star is a very uncensored platform. Like you can put some really explicit shit on there. Like you would upload. I'm not sure if the app functioned as though you could upload, because I've never used it either. I've just known about it, but essentially people would be breaking out in a fight and somebody would upload it to World Star immediately. Like it may have been one of the first platforms that you could go live with. You can correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know if you can even search what World Star is, if it even is still around. TikTok
I'm sure
almost
it'll
got
find it.
banned.
I thought they
This
did.
close.
I don't know because I've never been on TikTok.
This close. Well, what
Moira
happened?
does all the TikTok thing for me.
Yeah, TikTok's fun. I think it's actually one of the better platforms out there, only because it's not owned by the larger ones.
Yeah.
And I think that gives a little bit of opportunity for more creative people's voices to be heard, because unfortunately there's a lot of silencing going on right now on the internet, so there's a lot of censorship. Even in the things we do see, you'd be surprised at how many filters it passes through, and how many regulations these creators have to keep up with. And that's partially, I think, why like Joe Rogan went for the move
Oh, probably.
to Spotify.
Yeah, because like he'd show like a video of something like he wanted to show on his guests or like the audience.
Yeah, I'm not
and then
sure
they
if-
take them down off of YouTube, and they can only do the
Yeah.
the audio on
There's
Stitcher or
actually
other.
Oh,
stuff.
sorry, go on.
Oh, you're good.
So there's actually a controversy going
Dude,
on
I know.
right
I was
now
just about
on
to.
Spotify.
I was just about to
Yeah.
get into that.
No,
Dude,
Yeah.
so it's so messed up, dude. So literally, I've actually been following it with what Barstool's been posting about it, and they were saying like at first it was just a bunch of disgruntled employees, like demanding essentially, not essentially, exactly demanding editorial control over the JRE.
no.
Imagine that. And it was because they don't feel good about his guests. Like they want to control the guests that come on, edit the content that they talk about, and I think it all stemmed from some anti-trans bullshit. I don't know, you correct me if I'm wrong, but it was really just it started from Joe Rogan saying what's the word, and is it anti-trans? What is it? Transphobic. They said quote unquote transphobic quotes, which was really him. You know his take
Yeah.
on trans people competing in sports.
Yeah.
It's obviously it really compromises the integrity of any sport.
Yeah, because
if you're going to allow people with hormone replacement to compete.
Yeah. So we had a couple controversial episodes about that recently.
Yeah.
With Nancy Panza, and then Dr. Deborah So.
And now they're going full strike at the headquarters in New York.
Dude, that's ridiculous.
Because the first time they complained about it, the CEO, hats off to him, told them to kick rocks. They were just like, forget about it.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Because like, come on, you're gonna really stifle the creative process of the most popular podcast in the entire world for you know what I mean? And it's like, I don't know. I think a lot of the times it goes way too far with how much they're trying to censor things just to be PC. You know what I
Well,
mean?
yeah.
It's tapering on fascism at that point.
I
Like,
agree. And the thing about this is Joe Rogan's not a scientist. He has no credentials, and his views, you don't have to accept his views.
Nor does he
Period.
have any pull on who competes.
Right, and
It was
he's-
just his opinion.
It's not like he's even married to his ideas. Like if he has a change in his ideas, like he's like, hey, this is how I used to think, and now
Right.
like I've been pointed to like these facts, and like now like I've wavered in how
And
I think about
they'll
things.
just come out with a statement, like a headline: Joe Rogan's transphobic. And it's like all the only thing his statements were really pertaining to is transphobia in sports. Like you shouldn't have men competing against women.
No.
I don't think you should, at least.
Well, just knowing what I know about like jiu-jitsu and wrestling, like
Mhm.
that's just not fair.
Well, yeah,
You know?
it's just it just compromises the integrity. It's not about who's better, who's worse, or what the dangers are. I just don't think you get the same kind of experience that people are looking for. Not only that, but say you're, I mean, most people can't put their head in the same mindset as an athlete because they think these people, I mean, I don't know exactly what they think, but I would assume they don't think that the training and the discipline are as big of a deal as it really is. Because if you're somebody who's say you're a woman athlete and you've been training your whole life, you know what I mean? Like years maybe just years and years of diet, exercise, sleep, diet, exercise, sleep, and that's your life.
Right.
You've sacrificed so much of your social life, so many other aspects of your life to be that person so you can be 110% when the time comes. And then you have now somebody who's genetically a man or born a man, and that might obviously stifle the results of the match,
Right.
Because you don't know how much bone structure gets involved
Oh, yeah,
with
the
fighting,
density.
bone density, tendon strength, tendon size, and then of course like neuromuscular response, like quick action stuff.
Right.
There's I mean, whether you like it or not, I mean, I don't know how long humans have been around, but I'm assuming men have played the physical role in life for a very long time. Granted, that's just how it is with any mammal, typically.
Well, except for lions.
Well, from the pride standpoint and who's dominating, females obviously are in charge of the pride, but
Female
males,
lions are badass.
males
Yeah,
are
they
a
are.
lot bigger. Like they're just, they still have to fight
Yep.
to get a mate.
You know a male lion will kill baby lions, like lion cubs. So
No way.
yeah, in
I
order
heard
to
about-
motivate the female lions to mate.
To mate again. I've heard that
Yeah.
about bears. Bears do that shit a lot, I think.
That shit wouldn't fly with people.
Yeah,
ever
bears,
see that
bears do
freaking-
it, Yeah.
There's a sweet video on the
No,
internet.
it would not fly with people, Ian.
Yeah.
No, it would not.
Is that what you just said?
Yeah.
That just went right over my head. Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, like, oh, dude, I'm really liking her. Well, maybe she's killer.
She got kids. She got kids though.
You go on a date now?
No. Calling the police.
Yeah. Just slaughter some of these kids.
you want to go on a date now?
I was
That's
trying to
great.
be romantic.
Bro,
No,
that's
dude.
the way. You watch the Animal Kingdom. We're all just animals.
Yeah.
You know.
Dude, there's a sweet video I saw on YouTube of this, like, literally this dude was narrating like play by play this lion eating or going into the water and dragging out an alligator.
Bro,
Dude,
I
that's
saw that
crazy.
video.
You out of here. That's
Was
crazy.
that? No, I think that was a bobcat, right?
No, it was a lion for sure.
I think they made
Because
both. do it.
bobcats are small.
What am I
man.
thinking of? Not a bobcat. Maybe a jaguar.
I don't know. It was definitely. I just remember
Oh,
it was a
I'm gonna find
lion
it.
because it was in Africa. That's pretty much the only place where alligators and lions exist at the
That's
same
true.
place, right?
Yeah, I've seen a few videos, different animals messing up. Like tigers, dude. They fuck alligators up. They don't
Dude.
give a shit.
They are apex predators. Saw a really cool documentary on cats.
Yep.
On how cats are like just far more from a genetic standpoint, from a biological standpoint, they're just far more of an apex predator than any other mammal, land
Right.
mammal, because of just how they're built and how independent they are.
Yeah.
Like they just live on their own.
I've always been curious, like, how did we domesticate an apex predator? Like, sure, it was a smaller cat, but like they had to be like feral and like.
Oh, so
hate
the
people.
cats. So yeah, those are like they're. I think the original species. You could look this up, Jameson. It's called field cats or something like that.
Mhm.
And it was during like a time somewhere. I know I'm going to be wrong about this, but if I remember the documentary correctly, because it talked exactly about that. Like, how did we end up domesticating them? And it was we've had dogs for so much longer
Mhm.
than cats. That's why cats still look almost the same.
Right.
And dogs are like all kinds of different weird dogs.
Mhm.
None of the dogs you see today ever existed in nature.
Right.
You have these strange breeds. Like, it's amazing how far genetic manipulation can get you when it comes to a dog. Like, if you look at a pug,
Yeah.
that was a wolf.
Yeah.
Like,
it's
that
so
is
crazy.
still a wolf. It's the same genetics.
Little snub-nosed dog.
But because it's not like it's not a canine.
yeah,
It has all the same organs. It functions and mates the same way. It's insane.
it is
Yeah.
crazy how people manufactured different breeds because they definitely
Yeah.
aren't natural. Like they didn't just naturally become a pug.
What were you gonna say?
Oh, I was just gonna say that apparently cats sort of just like domesticated themselves. They sort of just decided to just
Yeah.
hang out.
Oh.
They're
It
just
was
like,
during or around the Black Plague time, I think. They used those cats to keep mice away from wheat.
Hmm.
Like that's I think the first utility for those cats is they kept them around for that.
oh yeah,
And they were already there. So, you know those like gray. Did you guys see the cats I gave Justin Plouffe?
No.
The baby cats. Are you familiar with those cats, Sally's kids?
no.
Like the original cat looks a lot like those, like the original cats that people would have. It's kind of just like a patchwork but
Well,
not the
cats
colorful one.
Definitely always have like interesting patterns. You know.
No, I know,
They're
but
just
there's
like mixes.
it's like a grayish
Yeah.
that they used to describe like some of the first cats, I think. But yeah, I guess that would be the first thing they were doing with them, but not that long ago. So I think to myself, well, imagine now having domesticated cats for the past like I don't know, add in another 10,000 years. How long have we been domesticated dogs?
I don't know.
Been domesticating dogs.
I've never looked into it. I probably should.
'Cause they're
James-
they're
James
so
is here for that
obedient.
now.
Dogs are unrealistically obedient, and from somebody I don't even have any
Between
pets.
20,000 and
How
40,000
about
years.
that? Boom.
Dang.
Like that's a long freaking time. It
That's
might have been
crazy.
like right around the same time humans were like messing around with fire and shit.
I don't know if it's that.
Yeah, it's not far, not that far. What the hell was going on 20,000 years ago? Egypt?
I don't know. I'm terrible at history. This is Plouffe's realm.
I know. Even then, I don't know if you.
Dude,
What? What?
I'm
what?
just watching this video of this jaguar drag this alligator
Oh,
out of the river.
God.
Oh, yeah,
my
yeah.
god. You don't want to meet that cat.
Dude
Oof.
just jumps right in, takes
Yeah,
it by
dude.
the back of the neck.
Dude, what do you think's gonna happen with I had this conversation with Jameson with like Neuralink. Have you looked into that at all?
Very little, but yeah, it's
super
interesting.
They have a website. It's really interesting to read some of the stuff they have up. I have no idea how they're gonna make that.
It makes no sense to me. Like, how do you? So that basically, what I understand first from this podcast with Elon Musk,
Mm-hmm.
it just seems like he's putting a processor
Yeah.
inside someone's head, and they can think faster and store memories better, and eventually, it's going to be something that's going to help people's health.
Yeah. Are
I
you on the website right now, Jameson?
It's like a Fitbit in your skull, the SpaceX and Tesla leader says of Neuralink's brain computer link.
Well, Fitbit sucks, so I don't want that.
Dude, you know the Fitbit I think
It
is like one of
sinks
the most
electrodes
accurate.
into the brain and then uses a chip to communicate with computers outside your skull.
What's that article on
Oh.
from?
I don't trust
It's
that.
from CNET
CNET.
See that?
about Elon Musk's Neuralink.
See, I
wouldn't want anybody knowing what's going on in my head, though. Like, that feels like it's like.
well, they already do. Did you see Social Dilemma? I watched it.
I told you to watch it.
Dude, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you did see it. That's right. I wanted to talk to you about that. Dude, have you
It-
seen Social Dilemma
No.
on
you need
Netflix?
to.
Everybody,
Go
if you
home right
haven't,
now.
ladies and gentlemen,
Okay.
ladies and gentlemen, if you have not seen that, watch it. If you don't think they already
was
know
it
what's
made?
going on in your head, recently.
Yeah, it came out
They,
pretty recently.
they already know what's going on in your
Yeah,
head.
but I mean,
Well-
like, if they can extract my exact thoughts, like, I'm sure, like, eventually down the line, this little chip that's going to go in your head right next to your brain,
Yeah.
is going to be able to talk to yourself. Like,
yeah.
it'll be like,
Well,
okay, this
yeah.
is the next thought.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
it
I
makes
mean,
me think of Westworld. Have you ever seen Westworld, either of you?
I know what it's about. However, I haven't watched it.
I'll give you, like, the base premise. So they have this, basically, it's an amusement park where they're all AI, it's like an RPG you're going to. So, like, think, like, if you're playing Skyrim, all the people in there are NPCs, but they're, like, basically, they look, feel, and talk like a real person.
This is Westworld?
Yeah. And
I haven't seen it either. I need to watch that.
and so basically what happens is they study the people that go into the park.
Yeah.
So they can make more people, like fake people.
Yeah.
And it's just a base way to create immortality.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the base premise of the whole entire show. But it's crazy because that's how I think of Neuralink. Like, eventually it's going to go in your head. They're going to study what's going on in there. And I'm assuming if it's connected to your brain, eventually they're going to be able to get intact with that, see what's going on, what you're doing, how you act, how you react, and study that. And essentially have a database of people's
Monetize it.
brains.
Well, yeah, you're so right. I mean, they already do that with your phone.
Yeah.
Like, you
Yeah,
have to
they-
give permission to have developers of every app you download.
Mm-hmm.
Jameson,
access to your data.
You would love
Yeah.
Social Dilemma.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah.
It's a little. I can tell that they're making it out to be. So here's. I'm always trying to look for the bright side in things. So it's definitely made to be disturbing. But I was noticing and how amazing some of the ingenuity of it was.
Mhm.
So what they really did with it, and it wasn't even, it was something that grew into being what it is today. Of course, it wasn't set up like that in the beginning. It was just sort of developers became more and more conditioned rather to trying to make people look at the phone. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of features like these notification features that every app has, amongst many other different things that they would withdraw or gather information about you with.
Mhm.
But I think a lot of it's super interesting because they found a way to create work without labor.
Mhm.
And I think that's super interesting. You know what I mean? Because what every company's trying to sell, whether it's a service or a product, what they're really trying to sell is certainty. And that's something they mentioned in the documentary.
Mhm.
And that's what you can really get when you come to these massive social networking platforms, is you know what everybody wants. You can find out what everybody wants.
Oh yeah.
And I don't know if that's as like evil as it sounds. I mean, it kind of sounds like, why do they know what they should want? But I would rather watch a commercial for something I might be interested in, rather than watch a
Right.
commercial that I'm not interested
The
in.
same side. If you think of all those advertisements and everything, if you're someone that's not trying to spend money, but you get
Yeah.
everything thrown at you that you want constantly,
Yeah.
and you're like,
And you have a
I
bad
need
will.
to pay these bills, but I really want that
Yeah.
new whatever it is. You're like, I think I'll just go to that site.
And in
buy
that
it.
case, it
Yeah.
just does not work to your
Yeah.
advantage.
Yeah, that's
it
a great
sucks.
point.
So
That
if
sucks
you're
bad.
terrible with money,
Yeah.
advertisements are not good for you.
Yeah, exactly. And creating a rather encouraging unnecessary consumerism rather
Yeah.
is just so anti-productive.
Yeah, because people are addicted to buying
Right.
things. They want the new freshest thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh no, trust me. It's
How we buy the iPhone X when the iPhone 10
Yeah.
does the same exact
Yeah.
thing.
yeah.
It's-
However, the only difference
a
about the
social
X
status
is the
thing.
X has a different charging
You mean
port.
the X and the 11?
Oh, it doesn't matter.
Well,
They're
said
all the
It's-
same.
The
It's all
iPhone
the
X.
same.
Well, the iPhone X is the iPhone 10.
Yeah,
They skipped over 9.
it's all
Yeah,
the
they
same.
did. But no, I get you. It really is funny. And how they've sort of tailored it to just be something you're constantly watching. I challenge anybody. Though after watching that, I really wanted to see if I could do it, but not use your phone for a month. No phone
Yeah.
November. You think
Yeah,
you could do it,
we
man?
could do that definitely. I'm already off Facebook.
We'll
Does-
say-
does that like include like no
Oh.
phone calls?
That's a good one.
So
You know
how
what
about
I'm
this? No social media at all for the whole month, but you can take your phone
No-
calls
no,
and text
still-
people from like, "Hey, I'm gonna be there."
It should
'Cause,
still
like-
be no phone November. Like, yeah, only have your phone on you for phone calls.
So delete your social media, or I guess
And
Yeah.
how would we do
Yeah.
that? How do we do that? So we can use computers. I think computers are still fine because you can't carry a computer with you. And honestly, how much time do you really spend on social media on a computer?
No,
Unless
but
you're
I-
older, it
I've
doesn't.
never done it.
Yeah, exactly. I barely use. I
Back when it was MySpace, then
upload shit.
I'd be on it.
Yo,
yeah.
honestly though, when I'm doing my homework, like just open a new tab,
Real quick.
Facebook,
Yeah,
Facebook,
exactly.
real quick, get that little
Yep.
dopamine hitter.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know what I'm
if you're in
saying?
college,
But
different.
I think it's substantially less than the phone.
It is
Because the phone, you don't pick up the phone. If you notice how when you pick up the phone, you do not do it usually without checking social media.
I do it unconsciously. Sometimes I take my phone out. I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, why do I have this? I guess I might as well check this. Out.
Well, really, what it is it's an adult teddy bear. Really, it's where
Yeah.
you go to for safety if you're in an
Mhm.
awkward social situation. You ever
And-
notice how people always, when they find themselves like excluded from the group conversation or whatever,
Mhm.
they pull their phone out,
Yeah.
Mhm.
open it.
It is a
They
comfort
might
thing.
be, checking the same post that they've checked already like 5 times.
It's such a
on social
comfort
media.
thing
Yeah,
Some escapism.
because you can look like you're doing something,
Mhm.
without really doing anything.
exactly. It's
And it's better to look busy than to look bored.
Yeah. Well,
know what I
it's
mean?
like you feel like you don't want to appear vulnerable or
That
like
too.
you don't want to appear like
Well, if you're not in the conversation, this is what you're doing. You're looking around, and that's a bad sign.
yeah.
yeah.
Like, that,
But
that's
if you
like
have a
frowned
safety
upon
blanket
almost.
to go to every time,
Right,
you're
you
kind
can
of
just be
taking
like, you
yourself
can-
out of the
"This is way
situation. You don't
cooler."
get to actually interact and
This-
absorb what's going on around
Yeah.
you. You just go into this little hypnotic triangle.
Rectangle.
Rectangle.
Yeah, the
Same
next phones are going to be triangular shaped.
Yeah,
But at the same time, I
great.
really love the
They'll be
phones.
pyramids
So I
Yeah.
saw
that
this.
project holograms.
Yeah, dude. It'll be
You'll have a
made
little
in
pyramid
Egypt.
in your
It'll be
pocket.
made in Egypt.
Yeah, exactly.
Now you lost me. I saw this really cool speech. I don't know if it was a speech. It was you know how they still do it with like Tim Cook, where they'll go up there and Apple will go up there and talk about their products. It was with Steve Jobs, and it was super interesting, and it made a lot of sense to me because they were talking about how Apple. And I don't know if they're the only company, but you'll recognize that this is definitely something that they do. And what they did with all of their products is they built it around the consumer. So, I'm gonna botch it, but it was such a good example of how they do what they do, and what they typically what you'll see is that they'll make a product that is fun to use.
Mhm.
Regardless of its utility. Then they add in the utility after. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And I realized that because if you notice how like Apple will come out with a feature that all the other phones have already had
Mhm.
way later. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I'm sure the next iPhone's gonna have a thumbprint scanner on the screen. Like iPhones don't have that on the screen, but the
I got one.
you got one,
Yeah.
exactly. So it just makes a lot of sense as to why a lot of people ended up going towards the iPhones in the same way, because it was something that they was made to be used. It was fun to use.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes any sense.
I'm just waiting for them to come out with the with a fidget spinner smartwatch where you can take your watch off and it doubles as a fidget spinner.
Dude, you better coin that idea.
Yeah, I don't know about
You
that.
know
I'm
what
gonna
I'm
be
saying?
honest. Those fidget spinners came and gone, dude. They were like
a lot of things. A lot of
Dude.
pop culture stuff.
I don't know. I've never seen a fidget spinner something get so popular and so unpopular so quickly.
It's just a bunch of ball bearings with a plastic encasing.
I got one. I freaking thought it was awesome. I loved my fidget
That's
spinner. I
hilarious,
still
dude.
love my fidget spinner. I
People
don't even
spend
know
like
where it is.
$20 for it and a ball bearing,
Dude,
Where is
people
it?
made a lot of money off of those.
Dude, they're
People- it's
so
crazy.
fun. They're awesome.
Yeah,
I don't think there's anything wrong with them. Honestly, it
I
was
wasn't
the
saying there's nothing wrong
Oh,
with
okay.
it. I'm just bringing it up.
the
'cause I thought
best
it was
$5
funny.
you'll ever spend. I want to find.
But
that
if you
thing.
want to get a higher end model, you
Yeah,
can spend
yeah.
$20 to $50 on
could.
a fidget
yeah, you
spinner.
want to get that
certainly could.
nice, smooth, last forever spin.
Yeah, you
gotta
don't want to
spend
have
that
to oil
money.
those bearings. You don't
Yeah.
want to have to oil those
No,
bearings.
no. You want that stuff to last a long time, go really fast.
What's that?
The fidget
Oh,
spinner.
this. Yeah. Well, you can't like oil them. Makes it go slower.
They have a special bearing like for skateboarding. If you want like if your stuff started to get gunked up and everything, there's a certain there's a
I
certain
guess
spray you would have.
I
to
use
that.
WD-40. And
That's not good
No,
for it
it's
because
not
that
WD-40.
accepts dust into
You
it and
remember
actually
when we
clogs
worked
up
at
more.
Co-op and Wire?
Yeah.
The maintenance mechanics, what they would spray on the shafts
Yeah,
of the cabling machines.
I don't
It's
know
got to
what
be
it
something
was.
like that.
yeah.
I
That place
don't
was
know what it
wild.
is.
All right, so we're gonna be starting to make fidget spinners, and we're gonna sell them.
No,
We're gonna pile our money together, boys. You in? Boys, you in?
No,
You in?
No,
Bro,
We're
I'm
buying
Hey, listen.
fidget spinners.
I have
Lots of them.
$10,000 to invest right
Let's go.
now in our fidget spinner
Let's
watches.
go. We'll find some cheap ass website in China, and they'll send us 1,000 of them for a
We can
nickel.
sell it
It's
on
gonna take like
Alibaba.
4 months to get over here.
That's okay.
Yo, we're gonna flip everything around, right? Instead of fidget spinners made in China,
Yeah.
controlling the American mind, we're gonna make an American brand of fidget spinners.
Yeah.
With
Yeah.
stuff-
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
stuff-
Yeah.
What's that, Ian?
No, what we'll do is we'll buy everything from China and we'll slap the Made in USA label like everyone else.
That's brilliant.
Food.
And then we can sell it back to them for double the price.
Exactly.
I'm quitting my job tomorrow. Tell you what, guys, I got a new business venture. It's gonna take all of my time.
Yeah.
Everybody loves these, man.
Why do you need to train people or have a podcast when you can just
Dude, no, but back to TikTok. I honestly think it's probably the best social media app right now because of the lack of its creative control. Like nobody's really being censored that much. They are a little bit though. I do see like controversial things being what they'll do is they'll silence the video.
Right.
They delete the sound.
Okay.
So it's starting to get there because I believe Walmart. Could you search what two companies bought it out? It's now an American app. They bought it from some company in China.
Wait, what?
Walmart and another company bought TikTok. That's why it's not banned yet, or it's not banned. It won't be banned
Oracle
anymore.
Corp.
Oracle and Walmart, I think. I could be wrong about the Walmart thing. That's what
beating
I've heard.
out Microsoft. It says nothing about Walmart.
Okay, so it must have just been Oracle. But yeah, I guess it's an American company. But
Oh, wait. Trump agrees to TikTok deal with Oracle and Walmart.
yeah, okay, so it was Walmart. And honestly, it's the easiest way to get
7.5% stake by Walmart.
Oh, okay. Wow, that's a small.
It's a very small portion.
Yeah.
But
Though I can only
7.5% can go really a long
Yeah, I
way
know.
if you get really huge.
Imagine if you had like owned 7% of Tesla or something.
Yeah,
Bro,
That's
that'd
a
be
lot of money.
intense.
How
Yeah,
much-
I don't have TikTok, and I don't think I'm gonna download it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ever.
Oh yeah, some
I've-
people won't. I mean, it's one of those things where you can get very good information quickly. You could also waste a lot of time.
Dude,
Yeah.
it's a rabbit hole.
It's
a rabbit hole.
I get
Yeah.
addicted very quick
Mhm.
to like stuff like that. Like YouTube, when it first came out, you wouldn't see me off of YouTube.
You just watch videos.
Yeah.
I would just watch videos for hours. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, I
And
know.
like Facebook, I would go on there and I would just scroll. I wouldn't even read anything. I'd literally, you can ask me where I'm like, I just like,
yeah,
Yo,
and I'm like, okay, I'm done.
I'm in the
you
same
guys
boat.
hear
So I had
the
to get rid
story
of it.
about our friend who scrolled to the bottom of her Facebook feed?
Oh my
and
God.
There
No.
was no there was no news stories left.
Oh no.
You know who I'm talking about?
Dude, that was my story. I told
Bro,
you that story.
That's cool. She's just sitting there, just
Oh.
like blank face, staring into the abyss.
I don't know if
Just
she remembers it. I'll shout her
scrolling
out.
and
Shelby.
scrolling.
Shelby, oh my God, back when they would all hang out with my uncle. That takes
I got to the end of Facebook.
that takes effort.
Oh man.
That takes effort.
That's a lot of time.
A lot of those things take a while.
dedication.
There's another really cool short documentary on what's it called? What's that thing on Netflix where it's like they ask questions. Not ask questions.
that could be a lot.
This
of
is
things.
now? No, not This Is Now. Damn it. They had like one about like the female orgasm and they have episodes essentially about different things. One of them was about social media
Mhm.
and they interviewed the people who created Instagram.
I don't know. I don't think I've seen that one.
Like they talk about there's like an episode on fascism, there's an episode on feminism, there's an episode on like all kinds of different things. Damn it. Why can't I think of the damn name? But anyways, they had a really good one, and they were talking about UI and UX, so user interface and user experience. And it's insane how much of that goes into creating an app, and you would have no idea really how tailored an application is that you use on your phone for social media is
I can
to
only
be
imagine how much
addictive.
coding goes into that. Like,
Yeah, the coding, the things that work. Like they were talking about even on Social Dilemma, how like these little things, like the like button was created by
Yeah.
somebody. You know,
it was something simple, and now it can
Yeah.
like determine whether you're happy or not.
I always
Because like
wondered-
you're addicted to social media, and you're looking like, oh, I only got 5 likes. That must be terrible. And you delete it,
yeah.
and then like the next one will be like, oh, this one got like 45 or above. Like, it's like, oh, this one's a good one. I feel good about myself now.
Yeah, I know. It's definitely addictive because I think they mentioned on the documentary, it's attributed to this, this necessity to be accepted by the tribe, right?
Mhm.
People still have that in
Oh,
them,
definitely.
but now it can be from anybody at any time because we all accept the fact that being popular or liked on social media is similar or if not the same as in real life.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like, oh yeah, everybody likes this picture. That must mean it's a good picture.
Well, just like high
Or-
school.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember Joe Rogan talking about this exact thing on his podcast.
Huh.
And talking like about how like you'll have like millions of followers, like this girl like will have millions of followers or whatever, or this guy.
Yeah.
Depending. I mean, it happens, but like people will just like follow people they don't know. Sometimes for like just travel pictures, for anything you're interested
Yeah.
in. But isn't it the weirdest thing is like somebody will run a social media page just off of how they look,
Yeah.
right?
Oh my God. There's so
You know?
what do they call them? Social
Influencers.
influencers. I think there's
Yeah.
influencers. Yeah.
Somebody will like literally like their entire and they get paid for this. Their entire fan base on social media is just looking at pictures of their ass,
Yeah.
and that's it. And that's how they
it.
make their living. That's how they make their
That's
living.
so crazy.
Dude, actually, it's what's that?
Well, you can tailor-
OnlyFans. People
Yeah.
make
It's like
millions.
Patreon.
They make millions of dollars off that. Millions of
Yeah.
dollars off that shit.
Yep.
I know somebody who made like $100,000
Yeah.
What?
off of OnlyFans.
That's crazy.
Well, no
Yeah.
matter what you do, the fact of the matter is that sex is still the most popular thing in the world.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Probably second to
I
music.
feel like it's so weird. People pay to look at someone's butt.
Huh?
People just pay. They're like,
Oh,
oh,
yeah.
you got a picture of your butt? I'd love to pay like $5 for that. Like,
Well,
no, what the fuck?
I certainly wouldn't, but
Well, let's be real. I mean,
well,
you
I
can.
mean, I
you gotta
guess
be
I've
a
been to a
certain
strip
level
club
of
twice or
desperate.
2 or 3 times in my life,
Yeah.
right? So I guess I have, but like OnlyFans or like anything like that, like where it's just like it's so disconnected and disjointed. Like that's like typically lonely people, I think.
Yeah.
You know?
Well-
like people who feel
You really want
they
to.
can't meet somebody in real life.
Yeah,
You're
they're-
really
I don't know.
grasping at straws to make a connection or feel like a personal, affectionate connection with somebody if you're trying to go through a medium like OnlyFans, because you can access plenty of nudity and pornography for free.
Yeah.
On various sources throughout the internet. I don't know why the hell anybody would pay.
Honestly, dude, I think it's just another manifestation of how disconnected we've come to be as people from each other
Dude, seriously.
due to our phones and social media.
People don't communicate. The quality of communication that's occurring right now is just so poor
Mm.
because people are communicating through headlines, through articles, instead of actually talking about things constructively. And furthermore,
Well, everything's abbreviated.
Yeah.
everything's abbreviated, and it's like we're trying so hard to change things with opinion, and that's already such just a terribly red flag because you can't change things with your opinion. You can only change things with action, and I think that's I think people have forgotten that
This is true.
in the most profound way ever. Like right now, like they think if they can convince somebody else that they're right, that is going to change.
Yeah,
It's
just
like,
shove your opinion down someone's throat
Right.
until they submit.
and typically that's grounds. Those are the exact same grounds to further convince somebody that they're right.
Oh
Mhm.
yeah.
Is by opposing them, because
Definitely
now their
right.
ego's at stake and they're gonna have to defend themselves.
Yeah, and there's no like actual discussion. It's like, oh, yeah, I'm right, you're wrong.
Yeah.
If you don't agree with me, fuck you. And then just two people just doing that for like who knows how long. Me and Jameson used to
Oh,
argue
dude.
endlessly. We'd go to HCC and we had the same ride, and we just argue until we got home. Then nothing would get settled ever.
Well, with you, it's kind of like a competition. Like I feel like
Here we go.
would.
No, you guys both. Let me just say something. You guys both argue to argue. Like we
Yeah.
I tried talking
Well-
about Neuralink with this guy, and he wouldn't stop talking about getting hacked. He didn't care about anything else
Yeah.
besides
You're
it
not
getting
getting-
hacked.
You're gonna
You-
get
you
hacked.
gotta think about-
Neuralink is gonna get
Hold-
hacked.
hold on.
There's no doubt.
You gotta think of it this way. You don't think that they're not trying to hack it right now. Like they pay people to hack things so they can prevent getting hacked. That's a lot of companies. Like
Yeah.
if you were to think of like iPhone, it's very secure. It's every single update though is the same for every single iPhone, whether it's a 5, 6, 7, 8, 9X.
Mhm.
I mean just X, no 9. It's all the same updates. So if someone hacks into one iPhone, they can get into all of them. Whereas in Android, you got like 50 different manufacturers, different coding, different
Mhm.
programs. You have to have like 50 or more things just to hack
Yeah.
into one phone. You don't know what they got.
But even with that being said, let's really think about it. How many people do you know who have been hacked?
A lot.
I don't know
In
anybody.
my field, at least. 'Cause
Yeah.
I've worked people get like
I've
answer the
had a
phone.
phone for
Well, I mean,
I can't tell you how
can
many
be
years.
hacked and not have any idea that you're hacked.
Yeah,
I
but-
mean, dude, people
Then what's the
identity
difference?
theft happens all the fucking time.
Yeah.
No,
You know?
So
that's
here's
being
a-
hacked.
here's a-
That's being hacked. I'm
here's a-
saying like, let's be rational here. Does it just like, oh, I got hacked again? Like I've had a computer. I can't tell
Nope.
you how long.
This is-
I've never been hacked.
This is the most common way to get hacked. Someone calls you and says, "Hey, your computer's acting up," and if you're stupid enough to let let me look at it. Then okay, like download this application. You download the application, and it's basically handing them control over your computer.
Yeah.
So they're in their office, wherever it is, or in Starbucks
Yeah.
somewhere, and they're in your computer from there, and they're controlling it. They take these certain programs out in your files, your system files,
Mm-hmm.
and they lock them out. They change it with something else, and it locks your computer. And they say, "Hey, well, yeah, this isn't going to be good. So we need to have extra $300 to fix this.
Yeah.
And what happens is they either take the $300 and run,
Yeah.
or they fix it, or you say no, I don't trust this, and you go to a real person to fix it.
Yeah.
But they usually swindle you out of money.
Yeah, still, I don't know. I mean, maybe I could just be relating it to my situation. I've never had an issue like that. Maybe when I first had a computer, because I played online video games, I got like a Trojan from Conquer, and it just shut my computer down.
Yeah, sometimes
But that was about it.
viruses can be attached to games.
Yeah.
And that's not even anything to do with your side. You could be just downloading it from the actual website.
Yeah.
And that place could have been hacked,
Mm-hmm.
and they don't even know about it, and they left like this sleeper in there.
Yeah.
That submerges into it, and you download the game, and you get the virus.
Yeah.
Well,
I still don't think it's frequent enough.
I know Facebook was hacked and had all sorts of information.
No, that's all.
taken.
That's user error.
Yeah.
Because they click on an email. Because what happens is, if you think that the coding goes out to just Facebook, like there's people that are probably in Facebook that have bad intentions.
Yeah. So that you'll get
They
for
send out
those
these
of you
others.
who've ever gotten this one, you'll get a message from somebody saying, "Oh, you're in this video," and you click to watch the video, and it asks you to sign into Facebook.
Yeah.
See, that's something one-on-one don't get hacked gamers learn, is like I've seen that form be submitted to me a million times playing online video games. It's like, oh, if you want 1,000 points here, and we'll just say the points were the form of currency on this video game. It was a RPG MMORPG, but massive online player,
Mhm.
right? And so then a prompt would come up to say you need to sign in to collect the points. If you type it in, it sends them what you typed in.
Mhm.
And it's a pretty straightforward. It's not even really technically hacking. It's just you've put your information somewhere where somebody else can get it. Hacking, I think, might be a little bit more on the lines of submitting a code or going in and
No.
no.
It can be very simple as like, hey, give me your password, and like you just have the shirt of the company that they have as a third party or whatever, and like, I need your password to get in here so I can work on this, and then you hand it to them, and then they take your password, they get a flash drive, put a virus in there, or take your information and leave. It can be as simple as that.
Yeah. No, I've never had any problems. I'm sure it's possible that other people have. Though I will say, I guess Apple's super safe. I mean, I don't know.
Until some super genius cracks the code, then
exactly.
Then
But I
you're all
I don't function on those odds. Like that's the metaphorical anvil falling on your head out of the sky. Like,
well, it's
if
more
you live
realistic
your
than you
life
think,
like that.
because a lot of people that just want to hack into it just because they want to have that under their belt.
yeah,
Like, there's a lot of people that just do that.
maybe. I mean, not maybe. I'm sure. I'm sure. I mean, I know it's a big thing out in like Korea. People
Yeah.
do that shit a lot. In fact, there's companies that are set up to not only hack, but I'm sure there's companies that set up to protect, or companies that set up
Oh, definitely.
for like just coding for some of those things.
If you want to know something really crazy, like, so you can put like zombies, like there's little viruses that don't do anything to your computer until like they actually get utilized. And then you won't know it. Your computer just be a little slower one day. And somebody like hacked in your thing, or like you downloaded something, and it's been going like hundreds of thousands of computers.
Yeah.
And then one day they're gonna be like, well, I don't like what this site's doing. And they're
Yeah.
gonna be like, we're gonna all like utilize these zombie computers to access this website to make it super slow and unusable.
Yeah, I believe it. And for those of you who don't know, just to add context, what you work, obviously, I don't want to botch your title. What do you?
I just do basic IT right now.
Yeah.
I'm doing audio visual, so it's like kind of like
okay.
a different spectrum. But what I went to school for was networking, PC repair,
Yeah.
and a little bit of cybersecurity and server stuff.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Well, there you go. There you have it, folks. That's how. It's definitely an uncertain world, but I guess nothing's really that certain, anyways. But I wouldn't really go out into the world, or rather, refrain from doing something because of the odds of failure, unless the odds of failure are
I gotta
that high.
say, man. Anytime you open your phone or your computer,
Mhm.
you could get hacked.
Dude, see that? You hear that, folks?
You could if you're an idiot.
Do you have any idea
No.
how scared you should be?
You
But-
gotta be really, you gotta be
That
really
being said,
dumb.
You got a good message there. I definitely think, like, you could get hurt or have something bad happen to you any day, but
Yeah.
you don't want to not live your life because of the risk.
It plays into that we live in an age where no longer is no longer is utopia just a fantasy, but it's become an urgent necessity. Like we have to have it. It's so integrated into society and the media now that anything that plays against what is considered okay is grounds for absolute chaos.
Well, utopia is just
It's
all like on the whole just irrational. It's not
Yeah.
possible. It's
everyone has a different idea of utopia, and if everyone tried to get utopia, it would
that's just
cause
it.
chaos.
That's what it's causing. That's exactly what I'm saying. Like if you look at how they're talking about people, it doesn't matter who it is on the media. It's always because they lack qualities that somebody else wants, and if it's not perfect, it is demonized immediately,
Mhm.
and just made and embellished completely. And I think that just gets people riled up.
Oh yeah, and I mean, to quote some of what Joe Rogan's podcast has been saying recently, everyone wants to be a hero. So everyone has that huge idea, like I'm gonna make the change. So everyone's doing something that they think is great for everyone, but
Yeah.
it's really just their ideas being
Yeah.
forced onto people, just like the Chaz thing.
Yeah, the
What's going on?
Chaz thing. Well, look what's happening with Spotify and JRE.
Yeah,
These people are so adamant about controlling his podcast to the point of literally not only, I think we might have touched on it just briefly, but his guests, what he says, to the point where they're editing out things that he might say throughout the podcast,
Mhm.
just so that way he's not being politically incorrect ever. And it's like, I don't know how nobody's really realizing it, but these social justice warrior people think that they're doing justice for people's rights
they aren't.
by what? By subtraction of other people's rights?
Basically, what's happening is they're
Like,
trying to
Silencing people?
Yeah, they're trying to silence people that don't share their opinions, which is completely against the freedom of speech.
Yeah.
So they're taking away your rights so they can have their own opinions flow through
Yeah, and it's like that's
with no interruptions.
communication's already bad enough as it is here in 2020.
Yeah.
To take people's ability to communicate away, I mean, at what point do people just get on and, hi, I am Mike, I am talking now? Like, what's the extreme to like, if we were to let that positive feedback loop continuously, okay, refine, control, control, to the point where now people don't talk in a certain tone because you might sound pretentious or condescending, or like, you know what I mean? Like,
well, really, what it is it's just a movement to make everybody quote unquote equal, right? Make everybody the same.
Communism.
what was the
Really?
name of that book? Oh God.
Like that. Like that's the goal. The goal is to make everybody equal. Nobody's better than anybody else.
It
Yeah.
reminds me
Right.
of, you've seen The Giver, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it The Giver?
It might be what you're thinking about.
What's the Alexander Honnold, or what the hell is it called? Oh God, it was like we read it in English class in high school.
I don't know. Oh, Lord of the Flies. No.
No.
That's one example of having
I don't
everyone in the
remember.
pandemic just freaking out because
What
they don't
was
have
what was the
they're all
basis?
stuck at home. They don't know what to do.
Lord of the Flies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was the?
Oh, dude, that's
plot?
so there's a
I don't remember.
sports team of young boys, probably like
They
between
got
the ages
stranded.
of like 11 and
Yeah,
like
they're on an
14,
island.
right?
On an island. I remember.
They're in a plane crash or a helicopter crash, and they get stranded on an island, and it's all about how like at first they try to work together, but like they're weak. Well, not really weak, but their society, makeshift society that they start up, sort of breaks down into chaos as they vie for power and control over the group.
Yep.
Mhm.
That's the Chaz situation right
Right.
there.
Right.
In short.
Yeah, but
That got broken up already though.
Yeah.
Chaz.
Yeah. But it's so crazy.
I can't believe
happened.
that happened. Yeah, I know. And it was like, it made things worse. Like they were literally taking things by force and
Mhm.
and just to abolish police. And it's the saddest thing because that's just another positive feedback loop that ends up making a situation that we need fixed even worse, because
Yeah.
you start to defund the police.
Yeah.
God forbid you start to do that. Not only does the quality, or rather, not only does the issue that started the whole defund police get worse,
Mhm.
the quality of it becomes a matter of the quality of the police force deterring as time goes
Right.
on. It stifles the ability for the police department to have better cops, or to have better training processes,
Mhm.
or make it more of a make it a harder job to get, so that way you're not, you have a
Yeah.
better vetting process, so you don't have the same people who might have, psychological issues or prejudice or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's really what it can cause. But I mean, that's beyond me. I've actually stopped looking into a lot of that because it seems like it's just, if it's not one thing, it's the other. Like that
Yeah.
kid that got killed.
Yeah.
They made it a big thing. Like, oh, look, this guy killed that
You
white
talking
kid.
about
That
the little boy? Yeah.
Brendan. What was his name?
I don't
Damn
remember
it.
his name.
I am having
but,
like 9,000 brain farts.
Yeah, they tried to make it in opposition to
Connor, I think.
the George Floyd thing. Like, instead of like
Well-
acknowledging but that both things are tragedies.
Yeah, but the guy was arrested right away.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Dude, that's fine.
The thing
that
is,
was
media is
exactly what happened.
Yeah.
terrible. Media is really bad.
So what
There's
they'll do?
never anything
they,
good
yeah, no,
going on in the news. It's
so
always
they-
something that's like, okay, you got to be on this side or
Yeah.
that side. No in between. You can't have an opinion. This is the narrative. You got to go argue with your friends about
Right.
it.
And that's what they'll do, is so they'll spin it. Like, oh, look, now a black guy killed a white kid. And now it's like justice for Connor. And it's like,
Well, dude, you know what it is, man, and it's
If these
I've
cops
been
didn't-
thinking it for a long time, man, and what it is people nowadays struggle to find meaning in their life, right?
Mhm.
And by aligning themselves with these sides, or with a certain tribe of people,
Mhm.
they feel like they're on the right side of
Mhm.
history, right?
they don't want to be wrong.
And so
Mhm.
by being
Nobody
on the right
does, no.
side of history, and by being, this person who is perceived to be fighting for a cause, that's where they gain their meaning from, because the world's gotten a lot smaller in the past 100 years.
Dude.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, oh yeah. Oh,
so whereas like in the past you could be a big fish in a small pond,
yeah.
and you would feel like a big fish, Now the entire pond is joined together, right? The entire world is joined together. And so when you go to measure up your self-worth and your accomplishments, you're competing against the entire world in your head.
Oh my God, you're right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I agree with that completely,
When you're
man.
scrolling through Facebook and
Yep.
Instagram, you're looking at all these people who are apparently so much more successful than you, right? And then you feel like you don't have any meaning. And so you get swept away in these movements so easily
Mm-hmm.
because you're searching for meaning.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, that's very true. A lot of people have like the hero complex, like we were saying
Oh, I
earlier.
certainly have it.
Oh, I'd probably do too.
Yeah.
Everybody does.
Yeah.
That's the funny thing, is that it goes right back to us having more similar qualities than we do different qualities,
Yeah.
and we forget that, and then we pretend like. I think a big part of it is that, especially in the West, that we've forgotten how important other is to self, and we've then diverged and forgot that we are kind of. I know it sounds corny to say, but we're all one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, even though you might not have the same opinion as somebody else, their opinion is just as much yours on a metaphorical standpoint,
Mhm.
because it's their opinion that makes you have your
Oh, yeah.
opinion. You know what I mean? And vice versa. Goes back to the whole tree in the woods thing.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Existence is relationship.
Well,
was
you
dumb.
can't get something from nothing.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. So there has to be the metaphorical tree to get the metaphorical leaf, or vice versa. They both have to exist simultaneously.
In order for good to exist, there has to be evil.
always.
All
yeah.
I'm saying is, if a tree falls in wood, there's definitely sounds because vibrations happen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm definitely 100% on your side. There's
You
a
weren't
tree
last time.
falling in the woods
Yeah.
makes a sound regardless if there's somebody there to observe it or
No,
not.
because describe to me.
Oh, God.
So yeah, I know. It's funny you guys say that, but it's actually true. It doesn't make a sound, because a sound is something that has to be experienced. It does make the vibrations.
The vibration creates the sound, though, whether you hear
Sound
it or
is
not.
vibration.
No,
Yeah.
no, it's not.
Period.
No. So you have to have an ear. I know it. I'm not. This isn't an opinion thing. I'm telling you, this is actually physics. So if you here's the best way to actually go about that. Explain to me what a sound is without talking about yourself.
Explain to you what a sound is.
Yes.
It's
Or any other living
Just-
organism.
Jamie, do your job. Just go on
Dude,
the internet,
I'm
because I don't want to be an idiot.
I'm gonna Google this exact argument.
Alright.
So exist. Okay, so tell me how light can exist without darkness, right? So we could take this back to the most basic of instances, but because it goes back to existence is relationship. So for something to exist, it needs to have a relationship with something else. So there is no void without substance, right? Or without a figure. There is no distance or movement without two figures in the void, right? These things have to exist simultaneously. But if you have a tree that falls in the woods and there are no ears, then precisely there is also no sound, because a sound is something that's experienced by something that can turn vibration into an audible reaction.
See, the thing about this
Same with
entire
light.
question that makes it not even a question is that we would never live in a world where there was no observer.
Well, of course not.
Like
It's
almost like
no. So here's the thing: we're both in a sense. I guess we could be both right, but
We're both right.
It's relationship that makes it a sound. We live in a world where, especially in the West, we're convinced that everything's fully automatic, where it's just sort of happening on its own. But again, describe to me an organism without describing its environment.
An organism without its environment?
Yeah, like any
well,
organism.
you can't.
You can't.
You can't.
They have to. They have to exist. They not have to. They do exist at the same time.
I mean, if I were to
Same thing with
describe an
sound.
organism without its environment being in the discussion, I could just be like, I'm a human. I have 4 legs. I mean, no, I don't. I got 4 limbs. I got 4 limbs. The other L.
Right, but now that's being cheeky, because
Well,
think
hold
about
up,
it. Would
though.
you put that description in the Encyclopedia Britannica?
If I really had
Like,
to.
people would be like,
You're like, hey.
that's not really what a human is, because if you're a being with 4 limbs, well, that's every mammal
Yeah.
besides whales or orca.
Okay, fine. I'll even go further. I got
So,
Right?
5 fingers on each hand, unless you don't include thumbs.
I know, but that doesn't cover it, right?
what makes a chair a chair?
It's right. It has to be there has to be
What
somebody
makes
to
a
sit
chair a
on it.
chair?
Dude, it's got 4 limbs, man.
No, seriously. When you think about it, like
It's a table. It's really just a short table, right?
maybe
I
it
mean,
could be.
It's
Yeah.
wherever I sit.
Is it?
But you understand
Yes.
that though, right?
I mean, there's chairs that you don't sit on.
I will just use them as other things then.
So is it then not a chair?
Maybe.
Exactly. Maybe.
Yeah. No, but that's definitely a cool one to look into, because then you start to get the fundamental basics of like how the universe even works, and it's something we've long forgotten, and how important relationship is. So typically here in the West, we look at the yin and yang as this symbol of opposition or opposites attracting, but really what it is the required circumstances for existence, where you need two things to be one, right? Because you can go through all the things in nature or in the world. And I like to use the tree as an example, because you could go about it and say, all right, well, there you have 4,920 leaves, 260 branches, 1 trunk, and then 1,250 roots.
How many
you could
atoms?
say, yeah,
Dude,
you could
you're
go,
looking
go
too much
through.
into this.
No, you could go. Yeah, you could go for the atoms. But the reality is
How many
that's just one
quarks?
tree, right? Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. Things are like thinks, right? You can think of as many things as you want in one instance to count up and describe something. There is actually no limit to how many
The world
ways you
can
could
be
count
written
something.
in mathematics.
Exactly.
Everything can be described with math.
Exactly. But it's all
What about colors?
Even colors.
Show
Dude,
me-
you ever seen
show
The
me
Matrix?
The
It's like-
algorithm.
Them-
Bro, I got
all
dude,
those-
that'll take me a long time, but
all those math equations are sort of like raining down,
yeah, dude.
describing the world.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, a video game is another reality described with math.
Dude,
essentially.
Yeah.
I'm really on board with the simulation theory. Like I could totally see that being a thing.
What, like the Matrix? I don't even know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of simulation theory?
No.
So it's
Oh, wait,
essentially
yeah, I have.
we're all living in, you know what I mean? Like think about it. Video games 50 years from now. You know, think about video games 10 years ago
Mhm.
and what they are now. Now, tack on 50 years from what it is today. You'd be
Well,
able
they
to,
already got VR.
well,
Mike, have you ever read
Imagine.
Allegory of the Cave?
no.
Bro.
Is it good?
Yeah, it's Plato, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's about these 3 men. I'm pretty sure they were men. I don't know. Gender's irrelevant to the
Yeah.
story. Anyway, so these 3 people are
Yeah.
prisoners. They're chained up in a cave, right? And they grew up, spent their whole life in this cave, looking at the shadows on the wall. And because that's the only thing they saw, they thought that life was shadows on the wall, right? And they would have contests to see who could identify what the shadows were faster, right? And this goes on for most of their life. And then one of them is freed and comes to the surface, right? And sees the quote-unquote real world, right? And when he sees this, he's like, oh my God, this is amazing, right? But at first he's blinded by it because it's too hard for him to take in, because it's like such a shock to his system. His entire conception of reality before this was just shattered. And he realizes how much he didn't know about the world, right? And so he goes back into the cave to try to like free his friends and bring them to the real world. And they laugh at him. And they're like, you don't know anything about the real world. This is the real world.
Wow.
The shadows on the wall. This is all that has ever existed. We don't believe you, right?
Wow.
And I think that's like a beautiful metaphor for like how you can get trapped in your own limiting
Oh my God. Well,
perspective
it goes back to
and not believe something that because you've never seen or experienced.
yeah. For those of you who haven't dug into like the whole flat Earth thing, I think the basis of that was grounds for figuring out. If I might be wrong about this, but I think it was an experiment to see if it's easier to convince somebody of something than it is to convince them against something. And I think it was precisely that. That's what happened. Is it's easier to make somebody to believe something than it is to disbelieve something. And once you've once a narrative has been set or believed or adopted, it might take so long. You have to figure it out on your own. In fact, it's like it's actually a very interesting psychological feat to find a way to convince somebody otherwise. But you can't do it through argument. You have to just have them. That person needs to figure it out on their own.
I wish they would just go to space. I wish that was accessible. Like you could just go to space and be like, okay, look, the world's round or it's flat. Like there it is.
Yeah, I know. It takes a certain discipline. It definitely takes a certain discipline to be able to break out of those shells. But yeah, that's exactly what's happened. I mean, even in the pandemic that's going on right now, I'll be first to admit that I notice people are still adhering to qualities of the initial narrative that no longer apply to what we're actually experiencing or what the coronavirus, for instance, is actually posing as a threat or as a danger.
Yeah, I mean, once you draw a line in the sand, your ego's on the line.
True.
When you draw a line, you're literally putting your ego right there. Like, this is where my ego is, and it's not moving.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
And it's bad. Nobody wants to admit they're wrong. I mean, nobody does. I don't think anybody does. That's the hardest part.
I'll tell you what, though. Every argument Ian and I have had, I've always been right.
Yeah. He's wrong.
He's
been right sometimes.
Ian goes, and I've always been wrong.
He's been right. He's been right sometimes.
And I've always been wrong. Oh, Jesus.
Dude, I'll tell you, man. You know what another really good one is the whole chicken or the egg thing. And I don't really like that one because I don't know if they mean the chicken as a chicken or as an organism that produces an egg.
Well, you got to figure it this way. It's all about the evolution of the animal. There was obviously an animal before the egg, whether that was a chicken or not, whether that was, say this, whatever was before the chicken.
Yeah.
Laid an egg, and then it evolved into a different,
part of the chicken. So, obviously the chicken came after the egg, but the animal that produces an egg might have had to come first.
It definitely had to have.
That's what I've always said.
An animal laid a mutated egg that happened to have the chicken DNA.
Think about it this way. It had to have been some species of chicken.
Yeah.
Because you can't be, even us, we were at one point chimps.
Right. Or something.
Yeah. There was obviously different parts of the tree that we were something else.
Of course.
So that's how.
So I think diving into
you
it even
believe in divine creationism.
Yeah, bro. What the fuck?
Fuck you all.
No, dude. I'm actually more open than I've ever been in my life to so many different theories because I think it's fun to explore.
No,
I think what's happened is people's taken the issue is when people take religion too seriously. They're no longer doing it to better themselves. So I think that's the main reason people get into religion is to find the meaning, find a purpose. And for, of course, how crazy it is to be an organism that knows you're going to die.
Yeah.
and all these other things that we know.
Right.
You have to have some type of belief. I think faith is very important.
Oh,
to have.
definitely. I think it's
In
important. If not, even if it's not real, say we
Yeah.
die and nothing happens after that, like, that happens, I
Yeah.
guess. But the thing is, your whole life, if you're living and you have the idea that you're going to go somewhere better, it gives you that sense of, of hope. You feel better about it.
Yeah, and it
Yeah.
gives you like a reason. It gives you, I think, not a reason, but as more of a strategy on how you can better yourself. No matter what that religion is, I think that's in a lot of religions. It's just extremism always makes things awful.
I'll tell you what. So we can take this back to that conversation about meaning
Yeah,
that we were having earlier, right?
yeah,
And so I've brought him up a couple times. Friedrich Nietzsche.
yeah.
One of his main theories was that God is dead and we have killed him, right? And nowadays, I'm sure you can attest to the fact that probably more agnostics or atheists than you do people who are devoutly religious, right? And religion was always a community type of thing that brought people together, or set them against each other if they were in opposite religion,
Yep.
right? But
That's when it's taken too
in
seriously.
getting that sense of community, you also get a sense of meaning and purpose.
Yeah, and
part of that community.
predictability.
Right? And religion is basically just like an attempt to describe the meaning of life. And so if we're killing religion, like if God is dead and we have killed him because we are all becoming atheists now, essentially we have killed our historical meaning of life. And so now everybody's at sea with no meaning because we are no longer religious.
Yeah.
The other thing is, life before religion
Well,
was not very
let's-
organized.
let's
like you were
just make
saying. People
something-
got organized for
Well,
religion.
there's no such thing as life before religion. Religion has always existed.
Maybe.
Yeah.
It
It's
has.
hard to say.
But I mean, like, you weren't civilized.
there's some-
There's
Something.
never a time in recorded
civilized
history where there was no religion.
Well, it's because people didn't. take
Hinduism
notes.
is like 6,000, 8,000 years old.
Yeah,
and
it's
there
the
were-
oldest.
There had to have been a point with no religion because.
Well,
you
let me just
can't
say
just say
something
there's-
too.
Of course, there's no a tracked
Yeah.
point because they weren't taking notes. They didn't have
And
religion
let's-
to take point.
Let's though shed some light though, because you said a lot back there. It is important to recognize though that atheism is a religion. It's certainly one of
I
the.
feel like it's more of an organization.
No, it's a religion.
it?
You have to. So atheism in the ordinary sense is essentially feverishly believing that God doesn't exist. Because obviously you could go, well, say you're somebody who's a devout Christian and maybe I'm a devout atheist. Neither of us could really prove our point.
No.
Because back to what religion is finding meaning. So both of us are using these faiths, these forms of faith, to make sense of the world we live in. You know what I mean? And if your perception of that is to upground other people to make them feel stupid, then you're in it for the wrong reasons.
Right.
If you're just going to be an atheist to spite Christians, I mean, like, that sounds like hell to me. I mean, God, you're going to go and convince people who have already made up their mind
Yeah.
that what they believe isn't true. Like, that's a long and painful
It's-
life to live, if you ask me, man.
It goes nowhere.
Because that's not the point of religion. In fact, you'll find most often atheists are far more religious than anybody else because they can't stop talking about it. They're feverish.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, but you find that in the same way with any other religion. Some people are so hardcore about it that they can't stop trying to proselytize other people and bring them into it, whether it be for good or for bad. I think it's just sad when it goes to a place of judgment instead of really understanding the meaning of religion and the meaning of faith. And I think one of the most fundamental parts about faith, and when faith really works, is when you find yourself so, or at least faithful enough to let go of it, because you can't really. I don't think you can really enjoy your faith unless you can let it go, and not in the ordinary sense of not believing in something anymore, but in the sense of being comfortable with it. That's the reality to you. And I think that's the only reason why people put so much time and effort into convincing other people that something is what it is. It's because they're not entirely convinced that they fucking believe
You
it.
think that politics have become religion?
Yeah.
'Cause I do.
Oh,
Oh
definitely.
my God, they're the most
It's the religion.
religious
If
religion.
Politics.
If you're a Republican, you hate liberals. If you're liberal, you hate Republicans.
Or not real,
and
Democrats, and then it's
sorry.
conservatives and liberals.
I'm not very political.
Yeah. I've been watching
Yeah.
the battle.
Yeah.
I turn it off. I'm like, this is all bullshit.
I definitely don't watch the news anymore or anything like that. I was watching like snippets on Facebook, but I was talking to somebody the other day and I was counting my blessings on how lucky I was being somebody who's never really grown up with a television.
Mm.
Because it's given me the ability, and at first glance this might sound a little destructive, but it's like I don't trust the news, I don't watch the news, and I don't take it I take it with less than a grain of salt because it's not helpful information.
Right.
It doesn't do anything for you.
I think one thing that's important to note is the news is also in the business of making money.
Yeah.
Everyone
You
has
know?
has their hands in their pockets.
Yeah,
Like,
it's definitely
they're not saying things out of their own mind for the most part. Like some people, yeah, of course, but for the most part, they have a certain narrative. That
It goes back to making people believe what they want them to believe, or trying to convince people of their opinion. Because they probably deep down are worried that it's not true.
Yeah.
So they'll convince other people, you know,
Mhm.
and that's the birth of confirmation bias.
Mm.
People will dwell in it. They'll soak in it.
Mhm.
They'll only feed themselves sources or opinions that line up with the belief that they have or the belief that they want. I like to think, going back to the whole religion thing and how important again it is to let go and believe in something, especially you know, from a Christian faith standpoint. So many people are very material.
Mm-hmm.
Who was it? I think it was either Alan Watts or Jimmy Kimmel, not Jimmy Kimmel.
What is the saying?
What's the other one?
Well, hold
Who's
up,
the other
what's-
guy? So the saying is, if God was religious, if God loved religion, the world would be made out of temples and clergymen. You know what I mean? And it's such a funny statement, because when you really do look out in the world, there's a completely different painting of that. And I wish people recognized how much room there was to hold more than one belief or opinion. You
Yeah.
know?
It's interesting for sure.
Because people forget that a lot of these, especially in the West, in the West here in this world, a lot of religions were based around monotheism. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
The king, you know, and so of course the person they would end up, you know, creating down the line would also be the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. You know, it's kind of like you can see how humans have developed.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think in a sense, even monotheistic religions have a polytheistic aspect to them, whereas there's, you know, obviously there's God
Yeah.
or Allah or whatever the creator goes by, but there's also these prophets and who take on sort of like a demigod type of power, you know,
Yeah.
where like Jesus Christ was resurrected, right?
Right.
Rose from the dead. So he's not actually like human. He's actually like a demigod,
Yeah.
you know? Moses parted the sea. He's
Ever-
not actually human. He's like a
Right.
demigod.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I always wish
So,
there
like-
was a time machine I could just go back and like, did he really part those seas? I
Yeah.
want to see that.
Well,
shit.
a lot
Right,
of
you
it, I
ever
think,
see
is
the scene of
it's
Bruce Almighty with
it's-
the Super
Oh
Bowl?
yeah.
it's way Dude, Bruce Almighty was an awesome movie. I think so much of it is metaphorical. It's super interesting though, and it sucks because you can't talk about it without right now. I think our conversation would upset people who are very religious. You know what I
It's
mean?
Okay.
Well, yeah, it should be okay, of course.
Everyone
It goes
has the
back
right to
it goes
their
back
reaction.
to these people rioting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And or rather, doing a walkout on Spotify.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. Certainly, you know, there's people who are very religious who are capable of having these conversations. I mean, I've spoken to several priests about this. Like, you remember when we used to work for Lowe's, how I would always get the priests coming through my line
there was
talking to me about
priests who
religion.
had people that were just batshit crazy.
Everybody's just trying
and then
to
you got
convert
people
me.
that were like, they thought you were in a dark place and they're like
Yeah.
trying to fix you up
Right,
with
but
religion.
I remember. So I went to this baptism with one of my friend's families, right?
Mhm.
And I ended up sitting next to the priest at the barbecue afterwards and just talking about like what he thought of like all the other religions and stuff. And he's just telling me about how like he studies them too,
Mm-hmm.
and he's kind of like a religious scholar.
I'm fascinated by religion.
It
I
is
love
interesting.
learning about it because it's if you're a philosophy buff,
Mhm.
religion's a great place to start.
Oh, definitely.
Because
There's
it's
a lot
all
of good
philosophy.
Stories. There's all good stories, and
I think
everything.
all religions really do have more good than bad in them. It's just the way people interpret it
Mhm.
or how seriously they end up taking it, to the point where just the point where they're just not comfortable with themselves,
Mm.
you know? And it comes back to letting go and being and actually having faith. Because if you really believe in something, you don't care to talk about it.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm.
How often do you ask people, "Am I alive? Huh? Am I alive?"
It depends on
If
how I
you're
am.
if you're confident,
Yeah.
well, it's like
Maybe after a long
you
Friday
know,
night.
competing in a sporting event. You know, if you're confident, if you know you're
Yeah.
the best, you don't have to say it.
No.
You know, everybody knows.
Exactly. When you really know what you're able of, typically it's humbling.
Yeah.
Mm.
When you really believe in something, you're humbled by the fact that, okay, this is the reality I'm living, you know,
Mhm.
and so you don't have to talk about it because that you are it, you know. And yeah, man. That I okay, so I wanted to actually before we ended the conversation on the whole chicken or the egg thing. I wanted to come full circle on that, because you would say, okay, well, there must have been an animal, obviously, that laid the egg.
Mhm.
But if you take that more metaphorically, what came first, the chicken or the egg? So now we've gotten rid of the actual chicken. Now we're talking about the organism.
Mhm.
And then the egg. What does the egg represent? The chicken represents the organism.
Mhm.
The egg would represent the process of birth.
Mhm.
So what would happen first? Did something give birth or was something born?
That's
That's
not
another
one that
one.
I'm answering because I don't know.
Right?
Both happened at once
It-
at the
I
beginning.
wonder.
They both
It-
had to happen at once. Like,
Yeah, it would have to happen at the same time. The first one.
Isn't that such
Yeah.
a
Yeah, I agree
boggling
with that.
question? Like, how did the first organism
yeah.
happen? Because it
Dude.
was just minerals and gases and
Right.
heat.
It had to have happened like one cell that eventually, just like
Oh,
fish
actually,
and everything.
now that I really think about it, I bet you it's all at the once.
Is there? Yeah, I mean,
It had to have been.
that makes
It goes
sense.
back to yin,
But
yin
then
and yang.
again, like, you can also ask the question: is there even a beginning? Like, has
Yeah.
things always existed?
The
Was
Big
there
Bang-
a beginning?
The
Now
Big
we're
Bang
going down
is
the rabbit hole.
no. Well, the Big Bang is a theory. That's
It's
why
a
they call it the
theory.
Big Bang theory.
Yeah,
so,
theories.
theory.
It's not proven.
But
Yeah.
perhaps things have always existed,
oh,
and
yeah.
there's no beginning.
Yeah.
And perhaps there will be no end.
If you
There's
were to
always a
ask, well, here's the
beginning,
thing.
though.
No,
No,
I
there
will
has
say
to
There
be.
doesn't need to be a
I
beginning.
will say in the Eastern religion, that's the basis of existence, and it's back to relationship. And what existence would be is something that just is.
Yeah,
It might have always been,
maybe.
Mm.
because it's very
It's a
it's
plausible
very
theory.
human. I will say though this, it's very human to assume there's a beginning, because we're all existing on the
Well,
base
none
properties.
of us are immortal.
Exactly.
You know, and
on
so
the,
we assume everything works the way that we work. It's
Exactly.
like when you like
Hmm.
So we'll-
project yourself onto inanimate objects, and it's like that thing has legs. I have legs. You know, the camera has legs,
right. I'll say
Right.
legs. We'll call
Yeah.
it legs.
Though that camera's gonna last longer than us, though.
or the sun is smiling down on us.
Yeah. So
you know?
what? Back to that. It's that we would obviously assume, since there is a beginning to each one of us, and obviously an end, we would assume, well, everything else. It's like an internal religious property we have, like looking at the world in the same way that we are, which is a little funny because it then suggests that we're independent of the world. But I don't think that's true either, because I feel like we're much more related to being not a part of this world as much as we are the world, because on a basic level, everything about us is required. Everything about the world is required for us to exist, and vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
Because if there wasn't something, we'll say all organisms in general, to live, there is no planet either, right? We have to have those things existing simultaneously at all times, and that's probably back to like how everything came about. One thing always happened, a constant, a festering phenomenon.
Yes.
That's life.
Yep.
How the hell? Why would anybody want to live forever? That's what I
Oh, dude, that'd be crazy.
Bro.
I don't. I wouldn't want to live past 100. Imagine being 500 years old. You're still in the decrepit 100-year-old body,
Ouch.
and you just gotta live your life like moving a mile an hour. You
Fun
can't run.
fact,
Can't
dude.
do anything else. You're
Fun fact.
decrepit.
Humans can live. I think biologically humans have the capacity to live 140 years. You can look it up. Like there's the biological lifespan and the average lifespan, and humans can live up to 140.
There's these areas in the world, what is it, blue zones or something, that they have the highest life expectancy. They usually almost all of them live to 100 and something.
What, like out in the Mediterranean? I know there's
I
an
don't-
island like
I don't know. There's multiple areas in the world that they're considered blue zones because of their mortality rate is very high.
what do you mean their mortality rate is high?
Yeah, they die a lot, like in their hundreds.
You mean it's
They-
the age of mortality is
Yeah.
high. Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
If there's confusion.
Dude, yeah, it's I wonder.
In terms of like the oldest a human can live, I mean, there's no real consensus.
Mhm.
But generally it ranges from like 120 is generally
Okay,
like,
120,
yeah.
yeah. It's like 125, I think.
something like that. But there's
Not
also
140.
some sources that'll be like you can live to be 160 if nothing goes wrong.
Yeah.
Right? But that's
What kind of life you
huge
living
if,
then?
you know?
Yeah.
I mean, chances are good something.
Well, it's funny because you have a certain level of refinement and a certain level of people and how they're choosing to mate now. Like, you know what I mean? Like you'll say, "Wow, if you look at what was attractive 40 years ago, you'd be like, that's nothing compared to today. Those men are that attractive." You know what I mean? Now you look at it, and it's precisely because we've been mating based off of attraction, as probably all species
What do you mean
do.
by that?
What I mean by attraction is, aesthetic appeal. When you're looking at somebody, symmetry, really, basic symmetry.
Well, Mike,
might
I
define-
would argue that the things that are aesthetically appealing to us are more so indicators of whether or not somebody would be good at rearing children. So when you look at a woman,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
yeah. So I
It
mean,
might be conducive.
I think that's probably always how it's been. I mean, when you look at a woman from a male standpoint, the things that are attractive are wide hips,
right.
big butt.
Right.
Obviously, the junk in the trunk is cool.
Well, it's the
Right.
symmetry. So the symmetry would evoke the attraction.
Well, in wide hips are indicative of somebody being able to withstand childbirth, though, right?
Right.
And
Oh yeah.
yeah. And,
No, I know.
Obviously, big breasts indicate that she can provide for a child,
Milk.
and yeah,
Milk.
in women like alpha males because those are the ones who have historically been the providers. Those are the ones who are historically competent.
Yeah.
You want somebody who's strong and capable, and those are the things that are attractive, I think.
Yeah. So you'll notice that being a loop of its own that keeps happening. It's why a lot of people are now, I feel like, more attractive than they used to be. What was my point with that, though?
I'm not sure.
Not sure.
Damn it.
I really don't know.
I totally lost it. The point is, I guess,
I feel like the attraction types, though, they change in time. Because if you think about it, like, a long time ago, being strong and being able to provide, like, hunting and everything was very important. Where now, we're more of a knowledge-based.
Yeah.
We are, however, I would say that you can provide many examples of people appearingly going for people who are no good for them, right?
Yeah. That
That's
happens
right,
with a
that
lot of
symmetry
people.
doesn't-
Generally, it's like they're going for somebody with an alpha
Yeah.
persona.
And
That
let's
still happens.
Let's be honest too. Symmetry doesn't always imply capability. Like somebody having the hips and stuff. Like obviously, if you're a woman, you're going to be able to give birth. It might not, obviously, depending on your structure, always be the best thing to do. But it certainly doesn't indicate how good you are at being a mother. It just might be indicative of how smoothly conception's going to be.
Well,
Right.
I think there's also character traits for sure that go into attraction.
Yeah.
Like just like sensitivity and having a caring nature, and also being intellectual can be perceived as attractive. Humor. I mean,
Yeah.
there's so many things that go into it.
Yeah.
So maybe where I was going with that is that it doesn't always. It's
Actually,
been.
I think you were going for how old we can live to be, I think.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of that is attributed, or will end up being being the fundamental basis of which people end up living longer, because we go for those attributes, and obviously there are always going to be things that make some are appealing, looking younger, having the persona that you have more energy and things like that, because obviously those are the more attractive features, being more confident, being more energetic, being younger at heart, being younger in body.
Yeah.
Because I mean, how far does that go on? Because really, what makes us age is what the hell are they called? I forgot what the name of those cells are called.
Oh man, dude, I know exactly what you're talking
no.
about.
We got telomeres.
Yeah, that's
longer
what it is.
telomeres, dude. It's all about the longer telomeres,
Yo,
and
so I got
it's a very
yoga
attractive
teacher
feature.
who says like that, like people can live to be like 600 to 800 years, but
Oof.
something happened to shorten our telomeres. Like there's like people who
Maybe.
like believe that.
Oh, jeez.
But I don't know, man. Actually, interesting. There was like a study on lab rats, right?
Mhm.
Where so lab rats actually have I think it's, can't remember if it's shorter or longer telomeres, but they have different telomeres from rats that you find in the wild.
Yeah.
And so
I think I heard about this study. I forget what they were studying.
Yeah,
It might have
yeah.
been just telomeres.
and so things that appeared to cure or make them healthier or live longer was actually like confounded by this fact, because in fact they have a different lifespan
Mhm.
from the rats that live in the wild.
Yeah.
So like studies done on medicines like with these rats are
Mhm.
kind of like, I don't know about that.
Yeah. That's crazy, dude. Humans are crazy.
They are crazy.
The world is nuts. There's so much out there like that you can just explore. Like there's so many things.
I hope that they make space travel a commercial thing in my lifetime. I'd go to space.
Yo, Ian, if you could explore anything, what would you explore?
Dude,
Yeah.
it's either space or the ocean.
Yeah.
The ocean's a good one.
Nobody really knows how deep it is, like what's down there, what species live down that deepness.
I always say I'm very surprised that humans or a species of our caliber has developed on land before it did in the ocean,
Well,
because the ocean's a bigger world.
we can't breathe under there.
No, we
So-
can't. I know
Well,
we
hold
can't.
up, though. Perhaps there's
No.
I'm
saying a species of our caliber. Saying like mermaids
Oh,
would
yeah,
be
yeah,
Aquarius.
Yo, mermaids
aquatic
live under the ice caps that has a
sentient-
tunnel directly to the center of the world, bro. And
Dude, have you seen that?
they just don't want to socialize with us.
I like
They're
that.
just hiding. They're like,
It just
fuck
sounds
that. I
like
don't
someone
wanna
that's
hang out
really
with people."
pushing their fairy tale.
That's
I'm the
Atlantis, dude. Atlantis still exists.
Big
They're just
fan.
Like,
Oh, dude, no. Atlantis is a continent that might have actually existed in
Yeah.
between the European and the North American continent.
Yeah, it was just if I'm right, or I could be wrong, definitely wrong, probably. It was a
Somebody can
civilization
disprove
that
you.
was, it was located on the shore,
Mhm.
and the tides and everything, they rose, the ocean rose, and
Yeah.
it got put under the water.
Well, it was like an
Mm.
energetic thing too. Like I've heard some really cool stories talking about the essential or the proposed collapse of a lot of civilizations, and it happens in our civilization sometimes too, like Chernobyl and all that.
pyramids, dude. The Sphinx.
Well, the Sphinx is weird, but oh yeah, dude, we'll have to talk about that for a sec. But I think the major collapse of Atlantis was due to the fact that there had too much energy and it was unstable and it destroyed. It's like however they were harnessing their energy supposedly is how the whole continent destroyed itself, if it
Yo,
was
you
even
think
there.
they were doing nuclear fusion,
Oh,
bro?
definitely.
No, because they had like, I know it sounds like super hippie or quirky, but like they had, pun intended, I guess, some form of crystal that was able to retain a lot of energy.
Well,
I'm not sure what they used, but it is known.
That's a theory for sure.
Well, you can store a lot of information in silicon. That's exactly
Mhm.
how all computers and computer chips work, which is a form of quartz, I believe. You could look
Dude,
that
the
up.
Dark
Silicon.
Crystal is actually a real life
Have
story.
you seen that?
Dude, it's so good.
That movie is so much of what's happening. right now in politics.
Bro,
The Skeksis is like on its last breath, like
Bro.
I will still have power, and
The-
you look at pull up Paul's.
you listen to the new Tool album, bro? You know how Jeremy
No.
would play the Tool album over the dark? Yo, the
Dude.
new Tool album is describes what's happening right now.
Oh, I
shit.
bet they're really
Dude,
they're
Fear
really
Inoculum, and then the Numa Descending. Bro, all those songs are so deep and
Yeah.
they're so just like, yeah, bro.
But-
Oh my god.
Definitely.
to that. Yeah, you have these people who are way too old to be in politics, like still.
Yo,
I want
the
power."
average age of the people in charge is like
Oof.
fucking 76 or
It's bad.
77.
Yeah.
And it's like there's no way these people know what the most important generation, which is like ours or just the one before ours right now. There's no way they could relate to what it's like to pay for gas or get a job
Right.
in 2020.
Mhm.
And then they're making policies that affect both those things a lot. And we'll say gas as a the metaphorical product or service. You know what I mean? Functioning or navigating yourself in the economy.
Yeah.
It's very different for somebody who's getting paid literally to not even they don't provide a product or a service, and they're getting paid more than people who do.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or even who provide people with jobs to do that.
Mhm.
That's the weird thing too. When a politician says we're gonna make more jobs, it's like you starting up a fucking GoFundMe.
Yeah.
Nope.
I think the thing
Like,
that some people
what are
don't
you doing?
understand is like that it's possible to get yourself in a life scenario where there is no way out.
Oh,
Yeah.
definitely.
You
You
know,
can definitely trap
like
yourself.
you can fall in a pit of debt or like depression where there's literally no way, or perhaps it appears as if there's no way
Mhm.
where you can get ahead. Like the debt one, that's probably more concrete and real
Yeah.
to talk about, right? Whereas like if you have a large enough debt with the compound interest, you can never have the opportunity to go to school
Mm-hmm.
or gain skills or get something, some sort of asset that would put you in a position where you can actually make enough money to outweigh the debt that you have on your life. You know what I'm
Definitely.
saying? Like it's possible to just get stuck.
It's-
Even if you get a degree, man, you could.
Oh yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not only possible, but it is encouraged.
Yeah, it's very probable.
Like
too.
like they've mastered. Like in this country, you can have anything you want because there's a way to get a loan for it.
Mhm.
Like you go to Europe, like remember when we went to see my cousins? They all had like very old phones because they don't have the same financial, we'll call it financial ingenuity, because it is
Yeah.
very fancy mathematics to be like, okay, like now you can go on a plan and get the brand new phone as soon as it comes out, and you just keep going on this cycled debt from the last phone to the one you have now, and it just perpetuates.
Dude, I loved that time in Portugal, man. I did just being able to like Leandro specifically, man, just being able to meet that guy. The dude's a farmer, right?
Yeah, I
Like,
think everybody was over
and
there.
he's
They're all
totally
pig farmers.
he's
not
totally
a
just
bad trait.
proud of who he is and what he does, and like that's it. Like he doesn't need
Yeah.
anything else, and
I
I
know.
I admire that, dude.
Yeah.
Simplicity is key, and it goes back to like how unfortunate it is that people really don't have what it takes to appreciate what they have anymore.
Mm.
And it's not their fault entirely. I mean, it is in the metaphorical sense, because everything's really, your fault. And you don't have to subscribe to social media or be on it.
Mhm.
It's not required, right? Air, food, water,
but it's
shelter.
encouraged.
But it's encouraged. And so now you have these social media platforms that are going, hey, here's the new fidget spinner, and you're like, shit, look at these people, look at them all have fun with it. You know,
Yeah.
maybe I
I
want
wanna have fun with it.
I want to have fun with it. I want
I
one.
want that spinner.
So in the playful sense, it's cool because I've always admired the yes man mentality, and to encourage people to do something that might add variety or spice to their life. But in the same sense, if you don't have any willpower to that, like the metaphorical bowl of chips, right? When we're all sitting down, like get this thing away.
Just have one.
Yeah, but you can't just have one. You got a bowl of chips or cookies in front of you. You're nibbling the whole
When
time.
I threw down those chocolate covered pretzels, those
Gone.
they
They're
were gone.
Dude, they're
Last
so
night.
good. I couldn't help myself.
I know.
Can I say, dude, I have been cutting down on sugar, and it's been a huge game changer.
Bro,
energetically.
Sugar, man, is so bad for you.
So
Yeah.
bad for you. You have no idea how exhausting it is to have sugar.
Like,
like
take
that
that
being
massive
said,
crash after a
there
while, and
are-
you feel so lethargic, and you don't
Yeah.
want to do anything.
I know, because like I can't explain it too good, but I wonder if I even came full circle on when I was talking about the whole caffeine thing. Like, it just really helps me with my sleep, not drinking it, and I wonder how many people realize like the reason why they've become the Squidward. You know how so many of our generation goes, you know, I thought now I understand Squidward. You know,
Yeah.
Mm.
I've
We're trying
I've
to
done the same experiment,
yeah,
and like I did like close to 2 months, maybe
Mhm.
a month and a half, and I realized that my morning will always be I fucking hate waking up.
yeah,
Because
yeah.
I'm
That's
so tired no
that's
matter
tough.
what. And I felt better midday, but usually the night, I don't really see a difference
yeah.
because I usually only have a coffee in the morning. If I were to have coffee throughout the day, like if I was really addicted that bad, like
Mm.
a lot of people are, they have a coffee in the morning, they have one at their lunch, they have for dinner sometimes. Those crazy people.
It's so yeah. Oh my god. My coworker, business partner Matt, he's like a coffee. He's a coffee demon.
Yeah.
He drinks like 1,000 of them.
Probably never
I
sleeps.
don't know how he does it.
Never sleeps.
No, he does. It doesn't affect him. Some people it just doesn't affect the same way.
Bro,
I feel like
Jeremy
it'll
drinking
catch up.
coffee before bed.
He was telling me the
Dude.
other day that he can't sleep now. I told him he have to stop drinking coffee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He says,
It's hard. It's really good.
yeah.
I've accepted that I'm slightly addicted to coffee.
Oh, I have too, and that's
Dude, I
why I've
love
been
coffee.
putting
I've-
so much effort
and
into
I'm not stopping.
controlling it.
Dude,
Here I
Mike
am having.
Mike's
a
over here talking. He loves coffee. He doesn't even have a coffee maker.
But he has a coffee.
I have a
He
coffee.
had a coffee.
Because I'd rather not be able to just make it whenever I want.
But the thing is, when you're not able to make it yourself, you don't
Yeah.
know what's in it.
It's very true. It's just like home cooking. You know what I mean? It's much better to have your own meal. It's probably better for you to cook it. Make coffee at
It's
home.
also cheaper.
I am a very cheaper.
There,
I think the
there's,
cup costs more than the coffee.
Yeah.
there are studies that suggest that just like, a cup of black coffee is actually really good for you.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You know?
I mean, again,
Maybe
though,
put
the
a little
study.
bit of cinnamon in it.
Here's the thing: they say the same thing about like wine, and it's like, who's really performing these case study trials? I
People
feel like
that
it
really
just
want people to accept them
I feel
being an alcoholic.
I feel like it's just
I'll tell you what, man.
humans are
a
addicted
glass
to
of
it.
wine never hurt nobody.
Yes,
Am I-
I'm not saying it is. I'm just saying I think people need to recognize that it's a drug, and that it may be right now. You could whoever you are listening, know that it might be affecting your life more negatively than it is positively.
That's definitely true. I agree with that.
And they might not want to pay any mind to it, and that's something I've been kind of going through because last year, before this whole thing, the last 2 years, I've been drinking coffee
Mhm.
every day, and it's just like, I know it's fucked me up. Like I got insomnia, and just other things briefly, and it was
Mhm.
it was hell.
Yeah, I think if you're gonna do caffeine, you have to do it right. You have to. Aubrey Marcus has a really great detailed description of how it works in his book On the Day.
Oh no way!
Yeah.
I'll have to try. I'll try to get that on
I want
Audible.
to backtrack just a small bit
Yeah.
to where we're talking about how you don't know how things go into your stuff if you don't make it yourself.
Yeah.
So I was recently working at Quincy College,
Yeah.
and one of their professors, I won't name his name,
Okay.
he's doing experiments with sanitizer, like hand sanitizer,
Mm-hmm.
and all these, like he had like 12 bottles, and he had his one hit that he made himself, and one I think that one of his students made themselves, and they would compare like how much germs actually got cleaned out from these sanitizers that claimed 99.9%, because all of them do. You
Right.
see in the bottle, they say it kills 99.99% of bacteria.
Yep.
Almost all of them had at least, like, say, half of the bacteria was still there, to maybe like 25%. And his would be like clear.
Oh wow!
Yeah. So
Because of all the moisturizers and the additives.
there
and
was like some of them, like it was like you're basically paying for water.
yeah.
You're just slapping water on your hands. You're not actually cleaning anything. So like almost, it makes me really think like everyone's telling people to get hand sanitizer,
Yeah.
and that you have to use it all the time, but like none of it's effective.
You know, this reminds me of like how and it really was a great cause for disappointment for me because I was very disappointed rather in how quick they were to silence people during this pandemic who are encouraging people to understand the basics of how an immune system is developed and maintained.
Mhm.
And a lot of that stuff was frowned upon because it was considered to be contradictory to the narrative. And so now we're in this like sterilized, watch out, look out, straighten up type of like mentality of making sure nobody gets germs.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how productive that is. I feel like that might be
I feel like you gotta build up your immune system, like, and you can't do that without exposing yourself
Right.
to some germs.
And
I
like,
don't know if like this is like. I mean, obviously, I'm not gonna say that what I'm about to say is true, but
Mhm.
I get the general feeling that most hypochondriacs aren't that healthy.
no,
Well,
they
'cause
can't be.
They
You
jump on anything that could possibly heal them from something that may or may not be there.
Yeah.
Right.
And you could be doing more harm to your body if you're treating yourself. Say you think you got cancer, and you're like, I got chemotherapy, but you don't got cancer. Like, you're gonna do harm to your body.
Well, it's a wild thought, assuming that humans are sterile,
Yeah.
which we're not. We thrive on
Well,
bacteria.
we're literally full of shit.
We're full of bacteria.
know?
Yeah, we're
Mhm.
like it controls how we feel, how we think, what we do,
Mm-hmm.
what we eat,
Mm.
and how that food even digests. I mean, we are literally the byproduct of a very active bacterial biome inside of us. And
Well, we're multicellular
Oh,
organisms.
big time,
We're
yeah.
a collective, and we have bacteria that we benefit from.
that's why I
You know?
laugh. That's why I laugh when people go, "Oh, there's a cure to cancer. We can cure cancer." The only way I think you can cure cancer, I was talking to a radiologist, and it would only be if you can start controlling the outcome and genetics of somebody who's born before they're born. Because it's a genetic coding issue.
Aren't they trying to do that?
They are. It's CRISPR. If you
Yeah.
haven't, if you haven't looked into CRISPR, very, very interesting stuff. And the basis of that is really just tampering. And this is gonna sound terrible if you're not into
GMO.
genetically modifying things. You're gonna get pissed. But I'll
That's
tell
how
you,
we make fucking AI.
right?
Real
It's
people.
about tampering with like the conception process, where you can alter the DNA and theoretically down the line you'll be able to make the DNA perfect, because that's the only way you can get rid of cancer, because cancer is something that happens to multicellular organisms. So it's not something, say you have cancer and I can, here, take this. I don't know if it'll ever get to that point, because you'd have to recode your DNA to get
Right.
rid of that cancer.
Isn't cancer just like
It's a flaw in the
it's
DNA.
well, you don't even need to describe it as a flaw. It's just something that's not compatible with the structure or
No,
the
it's
pattern.
I think
You
it's
know
an
what I'm saying?
actual flaw. Like, for instance, say you had a series of cells, and
Well, it's just a cell that
keeps making itself.
reproduces,
Yeah.
right? And it no longer fulfills the function that it,
Yeah.
in terms of like keeping the whole running, no longer fulfills the function required of it.
Yeah.
I don't know enough
It's
about that.
it's above my head a little bit, but I think I agree, honestly. It's got to be on something along those lines. And it's just silly to think that you can cure it with
I
a
think there
shot
could be
or
a
something.
positive cancer, like
Well, I mean, like superhero movies, like technically, like Wolverine would be a cancer, like his ability to heal super fast. Like if your DNA was all structured to this hyperactive tissue, like
Bro, imagine
metabolizing
that.
and making tissue.
Bro, think about this.
I don't know.
Wolverine literally
At this point,
I don't know. They were going into some
He
deep
literally,
realms of
dude, Wolverine has
what
these
ifs.
metal claws come out of his skin, and it's basically like stab wounds every time he does that.
oh
Yeah.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then
Well,
he
yeah.
just retracts them, and then it's like the
it
stab
hurts.
wounds heal. That's insane.
What I want to know is what muscle is he using to push? They fucked up there because they didn't tell us.
Bro, he's probably just
Dude,
flexing
that's where
his
the mystery
massive
is.
That's
burly
the mystery.
forearms.
There's no.
They gotta leave some
maybe
mystery.
maybe he squeezes his forearms and it contracts the tendons and
Yeah.
pushes it
Maybe.
out. But how does he retract them? Because there's no muscle.
He
in it.
lets go of his forearms.
Maybe he goes like this, but he can go like this, like still.
But,
You know what I
he
mean?
can hold
Yeah.
his hands without having to do
Well,
that,
you
though.
can you can flex your forearm.
How
just
does
like
how does Wolverine work, people?
yeah.
How do we start talking about Wolverine?
I don't know.
I don't know, man. Have we covered it all? Do we figured out the universe?
I want to know what Ian's favorite musician of all time is.
Yeah,
My
dude.
favorite musician?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't really have a favorite.
Down the
well,
line,
dude.
we'll have to have you come on as a local artist.
Yeah, one
Officially.
day when
Are
I'm
you gonna-
actually
are
an
you gonna play
artist.
an original? Are you gonna play an original?
Maybe.
for the end of the show? You should.
Send me something.
I'll send you something. It's not gonna be a video.
Yeah, no. Just send me like a little,
Just a riff.
yeah,
A riff.
something
Yeah, dude.
people can count on since we've already mentioned
Yeah.
that.
A
don't-
tasty jam.
A tasty jam.
Yeah, man. And then go from there.
All right.
Yeah, man. I
For
don't know.
everybody who doesn't know, Ian, he can be as humble as he wants, but he absolutely shreds the guitar.
Yeah, I'm all right.
Yeah, he
He
does.
shreds.
I was really happy to hear you got the band back or like
Well, I never got it back. I
should
started.
say-
Well, we just started. I wasn't
Right,
even
right.
the
in the
forerunner.
realm of creating a band, because I know if obviously, like we're saying, you're extremely musically inclined, and the fact that for a while you weren't constructively pursuing that.
Well, it's funny because I've never actually wanted to be in a band. Like I was
That's
always
tough.
every single person that's like, "Why are you in a band?" I'm like, "Well, I don't really feel like working with people
It's tough.
and like trying to mesh." And like I found out like actually trying is actually really fun.
Yeah. It's another form of finding a balance between having fun and being professional, right? Because at some point it's not just a jam session.
Yeah.
Right? Like you said, you're now strategically combining your abilities to make
Yeah,
one
it
thing.
turns into like, cause we'll take a break and like, okay, we need to figure out what we're doing with this,
Mhm.
and like
Mhm.
we'll literally sit there for like 10 minutes and talk about it. Like sometimes we're not even playing. We'll just discuss
Right.
where we're gonna go with things, how we want things to sound. Is there a certain sound we're looking for? We're definitely not looking towards pop kind of sounds. Like
Mhm.
we're definitely looking for our own sound, and I feel like that's important.
Yeah. It's super important because it's almost like your own signature. Something to be like, "Hey, is this a Ian Simpson song?"
Right? Like you wouldn't go around and be like think like, oh, who's this? This is Led Zeppelin. Oh, that's pretty plain. Like no, you know who Led Zeppelin is by just like the guitar sounds,
Right.
the
Mhm.
voice,
Mhm.
everything. Like if you can't make a distinct sound, like it's not really worth playing.
Mhm. Yeah, it is important. I think you know what? That's probably a really good point.
That's
I'm
interesting.
no
man. You
musician.
get like a feeling from it. Like music has like a feeling to it.
Yeah, like when you're listening, like you said, when you're listening to a certain band, even if you don't know it's them, maybe they came out with a new song. You're like, wait, is this so and
Yeah.
so?
Because like if you go on like say like I don't know 95.7 on the radio,
Yeah.
you can be listening to one bass line or one whatever because they have
Mm.
mostly pop stuff there. You can mistake it for another song
Yeah.
easily because their chord progression. Well, I guess they're not using chords, but like the progression of like how they sound is pretty similar.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You can find
They
a lot
follow
of
similar
4-chord
patterns.
bands
Yeah.
that play like the same chord progression. They just strum a little differently.
So
know.
do you guys do you know how to like read music and stuff?
No.
No, okay.
No. Mostly ear.
Mostly
I
ear.
think trying to read music takes away from it.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I was in HCC and I took it was a jazz class. It wasn't like I was playing an instrument. We're just listening to me jazz.
Yeah.
You wouldn't be like, oh, how did they write that? Like back then, like they just were fiddling around. They were just noodling around with the
Yeah.
guitar, like the saxophone, trumpet, everything. They didn't know how to read music. I mean, back then in jazz, like back in the day, it was a primarily black community,
Mm-hmm.
and white people. This is a huge race problem there. So back in the day,
Right.
so
Oh, yeah,
they
yeah.
didn't know how to read music, and white people didn't want to give that information up.
Dude, anybody who was there was a time where if you weren't like royalty, you weren't taught how to read.
Yeah,
Like
Well,
England,
reading is
there was-
power.
right,
Yeah.
there was
Yeah.
literally that's why like
and
the
yeah.
Language is power.
clergy.
I mean, you
like-
think? Yeah, sorry, no. keep going.
No, you can go. I was just gonna say like how religious people knew how to read Latin. and
Oh, yeah,
nobody else
yeah.
did, so they were
Yeah,
interpreting
if
the
you were a
Bible.
higher status, so, like you knew how to read, but if like you were
Yeah.
like mid to low tier
Yeah.
of the society, you didn't know how to do that.
Yeah.
But
Well, it's
like
just,
back in sorry.
Oh no, go on. I was just thinking about how Martin Luther translated the Bible from Latin, so the common person could read it.
MLK.
No, not Martin Luther King.
Okay.
Martin Luther. He lived many, probably many centuries before Martin Luther King. I don't
Yeah.
know exactly when Martin Luther lived.
What were you saying?
Oh, but like music back then, you could tell like jazz, like you get like this unheard of sound, like it's very abstract.
Yeah.
It's
Offbeat.
literally made up. Like it was made up, and it was not made with the intent of reading music.
They didn't.
You
plan
listen
it.
to classical music,
Yeah.
and like you're like, okay, this is like you know where it's going.
They were playing.
They were playing.
They were the first people to just play.
Yeah, they basically taught themselves how to play their music, and
Yeah.
they created their own genre from scratch, which is It's
That's
most
super
arguably
interesting.
one of the most diverse genres
Uh-huh.
because it's one of the first originals. Everything else is kind of based off of mixtures.
It's a bit laughable sometimes thinking about how music is taught, because it's very presumptuous in saying that this is the only way to play, right?
Right.
So when you learn about how to play the piano, for instance, you go to school for it,
Mm-hmm.
or just like any other instrument, I'm assuming, and they'll teach you where to put your hands,
Yeah.
how to use your hands.
They tell you
and-
not to look at the board.
Right, and while these things may be important to build off of or to understand, because it is it's an objective truth. Okay, you can play it like this, but they can sometimes be confused with it being the only way to play it.
Mhm.
Because what they're doing is basing it off of how somebody who was very professional played it. Like when somebody like Beethoven, Bach, all these people who are very revolutionary with music, classical music
Mhm.
more specifically, they're gonna go and teach people, and they think they do that now. I was reading it, or actually, I was listening to something very interesting talking about how they're gonna learn how to play music based off of how very professional people
Yeah.
play music, but it's not necessarily how you have to play
I
music.
don't
Well, yeah.
think it's how you should learn. If you base your playing style on how other people's play, you're not playing your style.
Right.
Well, I think that's kind of like we can use a metaphor of like buying a box, right, and playing inside the box. And at some point you have to play out, like go outside the box.
Yeah.
You know, but there's a lot of good things in the box that you
Yeah.
can learn and build off
Mhm.
of.
Right.
But ultimately, the goal is to get outside the
Mhm.
box.
Yeah.
You know,
It just sucks because it
you
can
start outside the box.
Yeah.
That's where you are. You're
Yeah.
already
Well,
outside the
I
box.
think a good way to learn is to start outside the box, noodle around a little bit,
Mhm.
see what you can do, and then eventually, like, okay, I want to try to learn this, and then like
It's-
throw your own spin on it.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I like to play by ear because I don't want to learn like, oh, this is exactly how it's played.
yeah.
I want to learn it. I want to like put my own spin on it.
And the beauty in learning how to play outside of the box is that you're doing it out of enjoyment and pleasure instead of discipline and
Yeah.
structure. And sometimes discipline and structure can be stifling to doing it for other reasons because you can overthink it, right? It's very
Yeah.
difficult to do something if you're constantly thinking about it or doing it very well, right? Explain to somebody how you sleep. You don't really know. You're just kind of doing it. Though if
Mhm.
you try to focus on falling asleep, it'll be the last thing you do. You know? Like if you can't fall asleep by forcing yourself. There's a
Right.
lot of things that apply like that. Not to say that obviously learning about music and theory and how to
Well-
play it is very good for, to teach people, to have something where you can go, hey, listen, this is how it's done.
Right.
But obviously you can't teach somebody how to enjoy something.
No. But I mean, I would say that discipline still comes into it because
Oh,
you
yeah.
can't just pick up an instrument and play and like be really good because you're having fun with it.
No, by no means. Yeah,
I
exactly.
mean, I know you're
You-
not belittling it, but
yeah.
but like you need to like sit down. Like if anybody like decides I'm gonna play guitar,
hmm
and if like you pick it up like once a week, you're not gonna be that good.
Yeah.
Like you gotta actually sit down, like maybe even a half hour a day, just screw around. Like you're fine. You'll
Right.
probably be really good in like a month.
My point is, people who enjoy doing something always prevail over those who know how to do it well. You know what I
Mm.
mean? Because they will outlast all those people, right? Skill is useless
Yeah.
without effort
Mhm.
and consistency.
Yeah.
Because you know what I mean? Like there's probably so many really great artists out there, but they're not very popular because they just didn't have the consistency to keep up.
Who was the person that we had on we had them on this podcast, and they brought up this great quote. It's hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. Who said that?
It might have been John
I
Wash.
think was that John? That was John.
Shout out to
right?
John Wash.
Yeah, that was
It
great.
might have been,
I think it was.
or Elijah Boven.
I think it. Man, which one was it?
But yeah,
That's great though.
it's so
Like,
it's so true. It's so
hard
true.
work and practice, man.
Oh,
That's,
definitely.
Yeah, you got to combine that. Shout out to David Mitchell or David Pownell. He's the lead singer. I got his album here behind me, Dope Ghost. Really awesome band. Really awesome band. And he and I were talking about how, well, like with his band, you have to always maintain a certain level of professionality while still keeping it fun,
Yeah.
right? Because like we said, that's the difference between just jamming out and actually making something.
Right. Because if you stop every 5 seconds, like, no, that doesn't sound good. No,
Yeah.
no, take that out completely. Like
Mhm.
it kind of makes it less fun.
Yeah.
Whereas like you let the thing kind of go and see where it goes and happens, and then you fit that into something like it's really good,
Yeah.
and it makes it more fun.
It's very much like life, you know? You gotta just you gotta have fun with it. And the main point of all of this is not to get to the end, but to enjoy it while you're.
Oh yeah, because if you don't enjoy what
Right.
you're doing, you're not gonna have a good time.
Or the fastest, or the best songs would be the fastest. You know what I mean?
I
Like
actually
it's-
like slower songs,
Yeah. So,
like
well,
Pink
most
Floyd.
Most
Oh,
people love songs.
Another
So good.
backtrack with Jeremy and the Dark Crystal and Tool.
Yeah.
Mhm.
He showed me Pink Floyd and what was it? Planet Earth.
Oh yeah.
Mute Planet Earth on Netflix.
Oh, yeah,
Put Pink
yeah.
Floyd on. And just watch the
we
show.
did
Classic
that.
move.
We did that when we went to New Hampshire that
Yeah.
one year.
Yeah, I remember
That's-
that.
that's-
I have
that's
a
when I
video of
learned of
that
it.
in
Yeah.
my phone.
Yeah.
Of like just watching. Nobody wanted to do anything after. Well, nobody even slept that
I
night.
did.
I remember.
I did.
I did not
I think
sleep.
you were the only one who
I
slept.
was up for 2 days straight.
Yeah, no,
Oh,
me and
God,
Ian,
that
I
was
think
a
we're a little
funny
salty
time.
about that, if I remember correctly. But it
No,
was a
I
fun
was
time.
definitely there for the whole thing. You were in a bedroom. I had the couch. I had to deal
We
with
got
it.
the cops called on us,
Oh,
and I
that's
didn't even
right.
know. I literally was just passed out
The-
upstairs.
The funny
were-
thing is that was the night that we were less loud.
Yeah.
Like we were louder the night before,
It was way loud.
and
It
we were
was-
playing. What was it?
Heads Up.
Heads up,
Heads Up.
and we
Yeah.
got the police calling on us.
That's
Dude.
that's
I
a
woke
fun
up. I
game.
was like, "You got the cops calling you?"
Yeah.
And I'm in like an open air second floor,
Yeah.
just right above it. So like obviously like I could have heard everything, but I was
Yeah.
just so tired.
Yeah, Jeremy Healy and we were up a whole entire day straight, and we
Yeah.
we went and got our own coffee, and 2 teas.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
That was a fun time, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, we gotta hit the mountain soon.
Oh, definitely.
Gotta hit the mountain soon.
Yo, what's your next weekend look like?
I might actually be heading up to New Hampshire next weekend.
Well, perfect.
Yeah.
You're right fucking there.
Yeah.
man.
Dude,
No, not
let's
New
go.
Hampshire. Sorry, Vermont. Vermont.
Well, you're
There's
right.
another place
you're
there.
right there, bro.
I actually
We're-
would be closer if I was right there. That's true. I'll figure something out. We'll have
we
to
could
figure
we could
something
meet
out.
you there.
Yeah.
What, are you going to see Ari?
Yeah, I'm gonna go up there and hang out with them. I want to before it gets too cold and to catch the foliage too. It'd be
Mhm.
cool. But it's just nice getting up there.
Yeah.
Shout out to them. Shout out to Esoc. I think he listens sometimes on Spotify. But yeah, let's wrap this thing up, man. Over an hour, over 2 hours.
Nice.
Made
That's
the
'cause
long haul.
Ian's the man.
The frickin' man.
I'm
dude.
all right.
The frickin'
Honestly,
man.
though, Ian shreds the guitar.
Find
Don't
a
let him be
way.
humble.
I don't know if you have already, but I've been telling Plouffe. I've been like fervently just reminding him, like, dude, make a YouTube account with some of your samples on them. It's a good way to start.
I'm waiting until we have more things coming along.
Yeah.
We only have everything shy of a singer.
Yeah.
So we're just jamming, making jam tracks.
Mm-hmm.
Once we figure like what songs we're gonna make, we're probably gonna get a singer at some point. I think we actually have someone in
Yeah.
line for it.
Yeah.
Derek has a
Yeah.
friend that does that. And once that comes around, then I'll start thinking
Do you
about
have
that.
an Instagram or anything for the band? You guys should put
We
something
know.
together just to share your progress. People
Mm.
love that, man.
We'll get there.
You know what I mean? You never, and in other words, you'll never be ready, right? It's
Yeah.
kind of like one of those things. It's fun to practice and it's fun to take seriously in some aspects. Like,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
you know, this might be something where I could define myself with it a little,
Right,
more.
right.
Or it could be something that's more of an extension of who I am and who you guys are,
Mhm.
and share that with the world.
Yeah, that's a good idea, man. You should consider doing that. I mean, obviously, once you actually have, some recordings that you like.
Yeah.
Well,
you
like
know,
that was a cool picture you
mean-
posted of your equipment. Like just
Oh,
something like
yeah.
that. It's like awesome. It's like, oh, cool. This is like something's happening here.
Yep.
You know?
Well, I would say definitely once you get some recordings that you like, sharing them would be great, man.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you know,
that's eventually going to be the goal. I think we're trying to do something like
Mhm.
that.
Yeah.
It'll happen down the line.
Freaking, I
mean,
hope so,
I'll
bro.
Listen. I'll definitely listen. I'd be so into that.
Nice.
You'd be surprised how many people really appreciate or might really appreciate something you do. Like even with this small podcast, it's like you never know who's going to be tuning in, and the consistency of it
Yeah.
really helps people kind of be able to not rely, but it's predictable. It's like, oh yeah, this is something to look forward to, maybe.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was waiting for you to make a podcast forever.
Yeah, I know.
I was like, this guy has the talking like down.
Well, I wish the thing is right now I'm trying to have more fun with it. I've got the professional. I'm not gonna
You
say.
have the
I'm not saying I'm
charisma.
professional. I the technical side of it I understand, but being here and now is something I'm having a hard time with because I'm thinking.
I think you're doing great.
This. It's like I'm always a critic on myself, but
That's good though.
I'm optimistic about it. I think they could make this do this for a while and hopefully get better. And back to a few episodes before mentioning how there's not really many other people who have a podcast. And
Right.
I guess the event that one exists, it kind of does, if they build it, you will, if they build it, or if you build it, they will come type of thing. You know what I mean? Like people come in and you can meet new people and talk to them. And there's a lot of artists out here. Shout out to all the local artists who have been on here. Dean Martin. Let's see. I think I can name them all. We got Dean Martin, Elijah Bovin, John Wash, Cook Short. We had Dope Ghost and Noah Liss. Come on, just recently.
Yeah,
last episode.
I just watched that one.
Yeah, it was
really good.
It was a good one with him. I was so tired that day.
He's a funny guy.
Yeah, he's a really guy. I've never met him, and it was such a delight. He's
Dude,
such a cool
honestly,
guy.
Yeah.
He really is a nice guy.
I'm super grateful to be a part of this, because I feel like I've got to meet a ton of cool people,
Right?
man.
Like it's a really good reason to casually sit down and talk to somebody.
And I think it's awesome about it is you give everyone a platform to
I could use a little more structure.
share their voice.
Like everybody goes, what's it about? I should take a little bit more notes and do a little bit more research on the people. I will say that. So if I ever sounded really dumb, it's because I didn't do as much research as I should have when I had people on. I'll admit to that.
I just walked in here.
Well, you don't have to do any. That's kind of like my job. You know what I mean? But half the time it is just a casual conversation.
Mhm.
I mean, I think people enjoy it. I like listening to people talk about stuff because that's what people do. You know?
I mean, we went all over the place today.
Yeah.
And we always do,
Yeah.
Back to the philosophy end of things. I'm somebody who personally believes that one of the many purposes of life, if not in my opinion maybe one of the most pertinent, is that life is sort of built, if you look at it and how it's functioning, it is constantly sharing information.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? When it's alive, it's sharing forms of information, and when it's conceiving, it's pretty much just another form of information. And you have this informational festering
life is
phenomenon.
just a conversation with the universe, bro.
It's
Just a conversation with the universe.
just a conversation with the universe,
That's
folks.
it.
Boom. Let's end it on that. 2 hours and 12 minutes in. We'll be here forever if we keep talking.
Yeah.
But ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening. Tune in every Thursday. You know this if you're listening, of course, this far in anyways. But your support is so appreciated. Don't forget to like, comment, and give me some suggestions. If you guys know anybody who you might be interested in coming on, comment below. You know, I'd like to interact as much as possible with whoever's listening, and I always appreciate people tuning in and sharing their thoughts. You know, that's huge. So thanks again, guys, and thanks, Ian, for coming in, man. This is actually fun. We'll have to do it again.
Definitely.
All right, guys. See ya!